Previously on the Lorekeepers.
We stand on the brink of war. Should have more gravitas. The precipice of doom. Good enough. I'll reread later. Tomorrow, we travel to the place where our adventures began. The Cloud March. A colossal bridge that serves as the only way to enter the land of Far White. The armies of the God King have been mustered, and if we do not hold them back, the last free kingdom shall fall. It was there where I met my companions, my fellow Lorekeepers. Marius, the former witch hunter, and Taxes, the dragonborn, a pair of warriors whose skill at arms make the legends of the enlightened Lord of Absentia sound like a children's story. It was here where we were entrusted with the grimoire, the sentient talking book that records our travels through the power of the telling. And it was here where we first encountered Equinox, our nemesis, a being created by the Lorekeepers to be a hero that would slay the God King. A being who instead was twisted by his own power into a tyrant, into a monster. To make matters worse, the witch hunters have amassed to the east, preparing some sort of ceremonial ritual. We have no idea what they're up to, but it will doubtlessly bring some new, terrible threat to the world. And so, outnumbered, we face a battle on two fronts. But hope is not lost. We have made powerful allies who have pledged to aid us in the war against Advent, the Dark Elves of Talazan, who fought with us to free their people, my people, from the aberrations and ancient horrors of the Underdark. The Dragon King, not Dragonborn, but Dragon King, liberated from the realm of the ancient dragon, Kalderax, after we outfoxed him in the game of Zofindal, the Great Game. And the humans of Far White itself, with whom we stood against Equinox and Advent to claim our first real victory at the Battle of Kilgannon. And then there's the Rogue Arcane, a secret underground cadre of mages sympathetic to our cause, or so we think. After losing two of our Lorekeeper brothers in the battle with Advent, the fallen warriors Ezekiel Raylan and Card Kilgannon, we have made a new ally. Lys, the Moon Elven magic user, member of the Rogue Arcane. She has power and wisdom, and has proven herself our most trusted ally. But we keep a great secret from her. She is the heiress to the throne of Farwide. How do you tell someone she's the queen of a people who have all but forgotten her kind? If this is to be the last chapter in my memoirs, it means that Advent has won. But if indeed we fall, hope shall remain, for hidden within the pages of this book, I have left instructions to find the Mythanium, visible only to those who can harness the power of the telling, the power of the Lorekeepers.
Take a point of inspiration, Locrius. We see long corridors of stone, catacombs perfectly shaped by magic, light given to them by cool blue orbs that hang on their own accord. 7 needles of a glowing star glimmer from banners across the walls. This is Spellstead. It is home to the Rogue Arcane. It protects the apostates, the families with magical gifts. Lys, You have all been waiting for some time, but how does it feel to be home? How does it feel to be, well, at least in the only place you can really call home, given what happened with Evermore and the fall of Siona? What is running through her mind?
It is familiar. It is nice to hear the laughter of children. She pulls out a handful of seeds and blooms a whole bouquet of flowers, and they throw them in the air. But at the same time, something is different. The looks that she gets from several people are not quite as warm or as trusting as perhaps they once were. And she wonders if it's because of the new company she keeps or some other reason. When she left to go look for the Dragon Gate, she felt something similar.
Marius, perhaps you've been restless, perhaps you've been stoic, but the thing that runs through your mind is that you have a chance to rest after the long journey and after the battle with the Mystic Knights and the Witch Hunters. You see Duncan's face cave in again and again as you strike him down. And you have to come to terms with the fact that soon you will be part of a ritual to transport you to the Cloud March. What's going through your mind?
There's no rest for Marius, not really, not until it's all over. He won't really rest at all. He'll take the necessary rest that his body needs in order to recuperate, but he is always thinking. And he's thinking about this ritual, that he's going to be involved in a profane ritual, dark sorceries. He's uncomfortable here, but he also remembers that even in his witch hunter days, there were radicals there who always said that you need to use the weapons of the enemy against them. And so that kind of rings true for him as he thinks about submitting himself to the whim of wizards.
A flash of light runs through your mind as you remember how you took the wall of Siona, a deep strike teleport into the heart of the Moon Elf's ranks. Taxes, you were looked on by the children and the students who are trained here with apprehension. But from most of the adults who wander the halls of this place and who practice their art, their forbidden art, they see you as a pillar of respect. You are a magical creature, something that shares the way they are perceived in the world, hunted and hated. What's Taxes been up to in this long wait and this long rest?
Taxes is not a he's not a very learned person, so I don't think he would really be spending time doing a lot of reading, or he's probably keeping to himself a lot, trying to stay out of the line, but he's probably seeing all these people look at him, and it's making him very uncomfortable, almost like he's in a cage while he's here, and all he really wants to go out and do is be back out in the wilds and hunting. So I think he's taking his time to rest, recuperate, strategize about the things to come. But one thing that he does do is that his hand keeps going to that silver talon ring. He keeps looking at it and being reminded of his shaman's voice in the back of his head. One day, this will all change. This will all change, and they won't be able to look at you that same way. They'll look at you like an equal, not a damn monster.
Azarax, perhaps you have strayed from the quarters that have been given to the three of you. Lise has her own somewhere within the catacombs. How has Azarax been spending his time?
Azarax would be, so long as the leaders of the Rogar came, made good on what they said they would do, he would be in a library, perhaps in front of a lectern, pouring through spell tomes, furiously trying to scribe spells into his spell book to learn something that will help us in this coming battle, a way to communicate with those that are far away. So I'm not sure where that would be in their complex.
Yes, you were absolutely told that the libraries would be completely open to you. Orlin, in fact, had made a point of making that clear, considering how you withheld secrets from him. You remember the look on his face, and you remember he was not pleased with this. Regardless, you walk through stacks of bookshelves in the lower levels of the compound. Each shelf bears different numerals suggesting what types of knowledge can be found within the tomes stacked on top of each other, whether they be spells from the third age or the second or even the first in rare cases. Some about strategy, some about the upkeep of a realm. But there is something you cannot ignore. From the back of the chamber, you can sense an overwhelming arcane force. You can sense a general direction from where it's coming from also.
I imagine as he's attempting to concentrate, he knows that it's very important for him to learn this information. But that nagging feeling, I imagine that it's like a cold tingle in his spell glove. He can feel it in his hand, like someone with a broken bone can feel a storm. He turns and looks, and we see from underneath his spider silk robes, his familiar, his own severed hand, crawls out and up onto his shoulder. It's holding something, a small diamond-like disc, coin-like gem, as it flips upside down and holds it over his eye. He will use the gem of true seeing.
And you see with perfect clarity. You can tell that beyond a number of these bookshelves, there lies a door that is ajar. And beyond that door, there is a chamber at the bottom of a long flight of steep steps. A dark room that drips with moisture from above. And a sphere of obscene arcane energy hangs within it.
Now, Rob, can you refresh my memory? When we came into this place, there was a big gate that we had to go through that sort of detected all of the magical things with us. Was there also a sphere there?
There were sensing stones that essentially are a continual read and detect magic. In fact, that would have played on Marius's mind, considering there was one item upon his person that wasn't accounted for. This is something entirely different and something far more powerful.
Attempting to gain his bearing and doing his best to turn to the direction where he thinks that Lise might be. He holds up a small bit of copper wire that's looped around his pinky, and he whispers a message. I'm going to try to cast the message spell and see if I can contact Lise. And if she's within range, she would hear Azarax say, I am within the library. What is this orb of immense power? Do you know of this thing?
For your information, Lise, you would not know what he is talking about.
You hear the whisper back. When I last left, there was no such thing. I am coming to you.
Okay.
Marius, do you think you would be alone at this time, or would you have been around Lise to hear that, or would you be with Taxes? What's going
Probably
on?
not with Lise, I imagine. Probably not with anyone. I think he's probably praying and preparing as much as he can manage. He can't manage it much, but occasionally he would like rise and like patrol, which is just what he does, and like make sure everyone's doing their job, even though this is not his job here. He goes around making sure no one's slacking, and then would like find a quiet place again and pray.
At one point, you would have walked to the chamber that you would be summoned to very soon. A number of the rogue arcane are standing in a circle, chanting, leaking blood upon the floor, and casting strange shapes with light in the air. It still makes you feel uneasy. Magic always has. And you turn almost to go, and you nearly walk into Orlin, the leader of the rogue arcane, who you spoke with before. I see you have been watching.
Making sure that everything is appropriate and safe.
Do you have a plan when you reach the Cloud March?
Destroy it.
And how will you manage that?
We have our ways. We've destroyed many a thing in our time. But from my understanding, there are scaffolds and things of that nature. We'll take out support beams as quickly as we can. But we have a limit on time.
Indeed, you will only have a short amount of time to complete the task. The extraction, the teleport field. It won't be there long.
I'm loath to ask, but is there something you can provide us with? Some explosive, some magical thing that you can give us that will make the job easier?
Regrettably, not an explosive, but you are taking one of our best. Lise has certain abilities that will be able to aid you greatly in this matter. I advise you not overlook them.
We'll see.
Lise, you arrive at the library and you see Azarax at the far end of a long stack of bookshelves.
Do I also see a door ajar?
If you look far enough, you imagine the the stacks of books are lengthways as long as almost the entire complex on the furthest subterranean level. And at the very, very far end, you can see that there is this steel door that stands slightly ajar.
What is it, Azarax?
Azarax will turn to you. I imagine that it's probably not super bright here, so I think actually this is one of the rare times you'd see him without his visor of Veritor. And as he turns, his right eye is super magnified by the lens of true seeing, giving him this weird and strange, almost comical look to him. And his familiar hand will scurry away, and he'll motion over to that area, and he'll say, there's something in there. I've never felt that power before.
Lisa, you know that is actually just a chamber for solitary focus when you need to quiet everything in one's mind, when you really need to concentrate on the mysteries of the arcane. You can go to this place and you can feel almost the tone of the earth. It's so low. In your experience, nothing has been stored in there before. This is obviously a new addition.
She would tell Azarax as much and shake her head. Whatever is there, I am not privy to that information.
Well, the door is open. I mean, what if we just went and take a look?
Then let us hope your curiosity does not get us both in trouble.
Okay. Azrax will start walking over there. He holds out the spell glove, his ethereal blue hand. The sigil on the palm begins to spin, and almost like a black light flashlight, he will detect magic on the way in. And also, he's just gonna look around for any like runes or sigils or anything. He doesn't want to trip any sort of magical alarm as he makes his way through.
You do see that on the door frame, wrought into the stone in which the iron door sits, that there are a number of carvings etched into the rock. But with your detect magic, you don't sense anything.
It's curious. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure about these runes. This looks like it could be holding some sort of abjuration spell, but I don't know. But if in fact this was some sort of a detection or booby trap of some sort, I wonder, with perhaps the clever use of a reflection, perhaps we can step through without having it happen. And what I'd like to do is, if I may, Rob, I imagine Azarax is going to hold out his hand, and we see this shimmering field using minor illusion. A mirror appears, attempting to reflect the sigils on one side back to themselves, and he's going to slip through on the other side, hoping to evade anything.
You absolutely can do that, because that's just really smart and really cool. I like it. You're able to do that, and you don't notice any particular change in the markings or anything being activated when you step through. At least you watch Azarax go. But quickly, Taxes, in your solitude, in your attempt to remain away from those that dwell here, you know it is deep into the night now. But you see a young girl, probably maybe 11, 12 years old. In her hand, she holds a what looks to be a stick, but on the stick there are a number of carvings upon it. Is it a wand? Is it a toy wand? You don't know. But she's staring at you and just not saying anything. She's wide-eyed, obviously, having never seen one of your kind before.
I think Taxes in his room, he's sort of just been sitting there pondering, thinking, planning, and you can see like he's taken his claw and like scrawled out like discussions of battle plans and things that like, you know, might be going on in his head. And he hears her sound from the doorway, and he like just turns his head and sees this little girl. It's listen, I'm not good with words, so if you want to talk, it's all right.
I'm not gonna bite you.
Have you seen Estra? I can't find her anywhere. You don't know who that is, by the way. That name just rings hollow with you.
No. No, I can't say that I've heard that before. But
And he kind of gets up from his squatted position on the ground. His towering figure starts to loom in the room now for a moment, and then he squats back down to sort of get down to her level to make her feel a little bit more comfortable.
look, that's what you got there? What's that?
It's a wand.
A wand, huh? Look, you said you're missing somebody, right?
Estra, yes, she's like your friend. She's a drow, but one of those ones that had to stay on the surface side. It's really sad.
I see. Well, look, what's your name?
Lily.
Lily. You know what? You're one of the first people to not run away from me since I got here.
It's okay. I have a wand.
Yes, you do. And that stick will protect you, right?
Yes, she says unsurely.
He nods to reassure her.
Look, I used to be a bit of a trekker. I've survived a long time out here. What if I agree to help you? Huh?
Oh, that would be wonderful. I know exactly where we can start looking too. She spends a lot of her time in the archive. Azarax, you step through the door, and at the bottom of the stairs, you see one of your kin, a female drow, and she turns as you enter. And your heart almost stops for a second as she seems incredibly familiar. But you can't quite put your finger on it. Maybe you can, though. That's up to you.
Azarax steps into the room. He opens his mouth to say something witty, but he doesn't have the words. He recognizes this girl, but it's strange. He only knew her when she was young, when he was young. We see a flashback scene in Azarax's mind. We see that it's pouring rain outside. There's a flash of thunder that we see through these broken shutters that reveals the scene. Azarax is standing there, 3 drow girls also forming a ring around a human boy. He's blindfolded. They hit him with sticks. They hit him again. He's crying. One of them turns to Azarax. Do it, boy. Do it, weak little boy. Azarax is scared. He looks to the others. He looks to Lily. She shares the same fear in her eyes. We flash back. We're back in the archives of the Rogue Arcane. He opens his mouth to speak again, but he doesn't have the words.
It's been a long time, Astra says, looking at the steps at you. It's only then that you notice that she's almost silhouetted by this gleaming orb that hangs in the center, at the very end of this room, this dark chamber. This immense amount of magical power coursing from it.
What are you doing here?
Could ask the same of you.
Well, I aim to save the world.
And she cracks a smile. What do you make of this? And she looks and she spots Ulysses through the door. You don't recognize this individual. Another new addition, it seems.
May I enter?
Our doors are never closed to any learning. You should know that. It's Lise, isn't it?
Tis. Although if you were working with something delicate, I would not wish to disrupt.
By all means, I bring this from another land. And here it will remain, safe.
What is it?
It is something that is very dangerous. But here, in the Rogue Arcane, we believe in trusting those around magic, knowing that everyone has their right to know what they know. I would advise deep thought if you are to look in it. It can show the future.
Where is it from? Where did you get it?
I retrieved it from the Hall of the Khans. In the southern areas of the frontier, the kingdom north of here.
You retrieved it.
Yes, the Magisterium thought it would be a neat little addition to their collection. I relieved them of it.
Azarak smiles and nods his head, impressed. He looks down. The sigil on the spell glove begins to whir as he holds it up to the orb. And if I may, can I do like some sort of arcana check? I'll cast Detect Magic. I'm trying to discern the nature of this object.
Yeah, absolutely you can.
All right, so with advantage because of the spell glove, that is going to be a math 18 and 18.
Like before, an overwhelming amount of power, but something that is almost in the same vein as to the power that you felt within the Nightmare Shrine. This is indeed affected by the temporal winds. Perhaps what she says is true.
Have you looked into it yourself? Have you tried to see the future?
She looks at you and says, no. It is a dangerous thing.
Azarax will turn to Lise. Dangerous, but perhaps worth the risk.
And give us insight. Tell us why the witch hunters are here. What their plan is.
But this looks into the future. It must be done. I will do it, unless you would prefer to do it yourself.
It might be best to consult with Orlin first.
About Orlin, he turns and addresses them both. He has a way about him that... let me put it this way. He did not make the best first impression upon me. Now, these are trying times, and I understand the need to be a little bit standoffish, but...
Orlin is a good man. He wants only the best for the Rogue Arcane and for all that we protect. I have trusted him with my life more than once, and I would do it again.
Okay. Then let us speak with him. But if clearly he knows it's here, why would he not offer it to us to begin with? I mean, a boon of this magnitude, something that we can look into the future, that we can potentially turn the tide of a battle. Perhaps... Oh, no.
Perhaps he knows more of the risks than we do. You know as well as I do that the more power something holds, the greater the chance of something catastrophic.
It's true. Estra, before you retrieved this from the cons, did you see any of them use it? Do you know of anyone who has used it before? Have you heard of any mishaps from it?
I know that there is arguments that surround this thing. Some say that it only shows you what you want to see, others what you need to see. And then there are the others.
The others.
The ones who say that if you see something that you don't like, it will invariably become a reality. But I'm an optimist. She smiles.
Azarax turns his hand to the side. The symbol begins to whir the opposite direction, and for a moment, the like a medallion of golden light appears on his hand. I'm going to try to use the telling. I'm going to try to use the telling to see if I can tap into any Lorekeeper lore about this device.
You ground your feet and you prepare. Taxes, you are being led around a corner of these catacombs. You've gone down a number of stairs, Lily leading you by the light of her wand, she says, but there's no light coming from the wand. You imagine some child's game is going on in her head, and you pause for a moment. You see Marius at the opposite end of the corridor walking towards the same door.
Oh,
Yeah. How
You well?
Relatively, yeah.
And you can see, I think it's not this sense of like this big hulking creature being like led by a finger by Lily, but it's like him walking around and her being like on his shoulder, pointing the way with this wand, right? And
I
Who's your friend?
I picked up a straggler. This is Lily. She's well, we're trekking, so there's that.
Well,
She
don't
said
let
she's
me-
got a friend. We're
Right.
looking for her.
Sure. Well, don't let me interrupt. Seems like
No.
you're having fun.
No,
Both of you suddenly hear something. As Locris, I would like to know what roll you made with your telling check, please.
Where's my thing right here? That is a 21.
A strong wind whips up from the archives and it spills into the corridor in which you're standing, Marius and Taxes. There is a familiar feeling about some kind of power that begins emanating against something within the chamber. Lily slides from your back, Taxes, and runs up the stairs away. As the two of you approach, you see a gleaming golden light blooming from a doorway at the far end of the archives. Azarax, what are you trying to find out essentially? Are you attempting to get lore from this, or are you trying to interact with it? What are you doing?
I imagine that he's going to push right to the edge right before activating it and looking into the future. He wants to feel the power of it. He wants to understand how this thing works. So he's going to push forward. I imagine that it's like almost like putting your hand on the water, on the surface of water before pushing through.
And just like pushing through water, you feel a coldness fall across you. You see endless fields of dust. Before you, you see a shining tower. A voice echoes, booming across the landscape. So loud is it that every citizen in the Nine Kingdoms can hear. And it says, I shall give them a war. You see your friend Taxes, blood pooling through his scales as he hangs from a cross. He has been cut open as he has been crucified, so all can see the last of his kind bleed out and die slowly and pointlessly. You see Lys, wreathed in arcane fire, bound, it seems, amidst the stars themselves, high above, so she can watch her world disintegrate before her eyes. A wolf giving a final howl before it collapses into blood and entrails. And you see Marius. You see grey in his hair. You see wrinkles upon his face. You see his gnarled hand clutching desperately at his hammer. Forgiveness, it is called. Something he never quite managed to get. And then you see Equinox. And he is alone. And that is where we're going to take a short moment to say hello and welcome to Performance Check. This is the Lorekeepers, Chapter 15, Face the Storm. And finally we're here. Guys, I would like you to introduce yourselves and your characters, and then we'll go on a quick break, and then we will return to the game. And we'll start with Chad.
Oh man. Whew. Yeah. Hi guys. My name is Chad. I play a dragonborn named Texas. And this is absolutely by far my favorite campaign that I think I've ever been a part of, because this is so good. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome, man. You really made me laugh in that bit there when you ran into Mary. It's like, hi, how are you? It was very formal. Speaking of, Lloyd, how you doing?
I'm well, thanks. I play Marius, who's a witch hunter, and is just real sick of these idiots touching magical doodads and seeing terrible prophecies and always making dumb decisions literally every time. Why can't they just listen? That's all.
That is all. Bless him. Lorekeepers, my man.
I agree with both Chad and Lloyd. This is my favorite campaign, and we do make idiotic decisions all the time. But you know what? Let's be real. Great stories are built on heroes making stupid ass decisions. So I absolutely love playing in this campaign, man. This is great. That was just, you know, the bombs are gonna drop in this campaign, and Rob just fucking dropped some bombs. It's great, man. I love this shit. I can't wait for to get back into it.
And finally, Taylor.
I'm Taylor. I'm playing Lise. If you watch many of Rob's or Lloyd's games, you see me around these channels lurking and playing quite a bit. This is good fun, and I think one of my favorite moments is always when Locrius goes, "So what I'd like to do is," because there's always something cool after that. I really enjoy it.
Absolutely. And I'm sure definitely more things, cool things to come. Right. Short break, and we'll be back to it. For those of you watching now and after the fact, thanks for joining us. We'll be back shortly. I'm back. Big thank you to Lloyd for these wonderful new overlays. I absolutely love mine. I think it's gorgeous. I want it as a poster. I think if Lorekeepers was ever going to be a book, I imagine that would be the cover. The Lorekeepers above it, maybe, or beneath it. Just so rad. Let's have a look in the chat and see if we've got people today. I didn't open the chat. My goodness me. Such was my fever to get to this game.
There's a few people.
What are your thoughts, Taylor?
I want to know what the heck this thing is and what it does and all sorts of good stuff.
You never look in the fucking mirror that tells you the future. You never look in, like, you just never do it. It always tells you bad stuff and breaks your morale. You never do it. Don't look in the plant here. Don't even touch it. Like, just don't do it. That's my thought.
There's one thing that I know of Azrax. He's very curious. But, you know.
Yeah, no, it's good, because if it was just me playing this game, nothing would ever happen, because I would just sit in a walled fortress and wait, right? Like, nothing would ever happen.
Wait, nothing's coming here.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait for them to come to me.
Yeah, it would just be pure boring pragmatism. That's why I think, like, me and Nico, if we were like in a game together and no one else is in it, it would just be very, very boring. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think there's merit to that. I think there really is.
Sure, yeah. But we're never gonna like do the curious thing, you know?
Come on, you gotta fucking do it. Me, if you put a fucking button in front of me that says "Do not press," I'm gonna press that fucking button
Every time.
every time.
It's like that video they've done the experiment loads, but you see videos of a child being left in a room and then there's like a sweet or a candy or whatever put onto the table and they say, don't eat that. And they walk out of the room and it's just like a matter of time.
You know they're gonna eat it.
You
gotta eat it. We wouldn't have got that fucking jaw-dropping nightmare scene from the fucking horrific future. That was, oh my god, so good.
I was surprised what you did with the drow Estra as well there, Chris. That was really cool.
I was partway through and I was like, that was the handoff, right? I'm thinking to myself, I was like, did he mean that I can make up a backstory, or did I just fucking hijack his shit?
No, not at all, not at all. No,
that's what you meant, right?
Leaving it really open, man. Yeah, I was like, you tell me, and then I realized what you were doing halfway through, and I was like, oh my god, that's great. Really, really cool.
I think an underappreciated part of this game is the Marius Taxes comedy routine that happens every time we interact. I don't know why, but it always happens. It's just like this weird relationship. It's very funny, I think.
It's super awkward, but hilarious every time.
Always
really
standoffish. Hello, how are you?
Yeah.
I did lose my shit. I really did. Oh, it made me laugh. Speaking of, where is our Dragonborn friend? Where is he?
I thought I was pushing to make a cup of tea.
I was, yeah. I thought about maybe making one, but my kettle is like the slowest in the universe.
Well, there's nothing on this earth worse than a slow kettle.
Oh my god! It just like it has to take a run up. It's so bad. So I settled with.
I was reading an interesting little article about a feature that some people put into their D&D games called "I Know This Guy," where every town or two, someone can be like, no, I know a guy, like, and you can just make up an NPC for that. I think that's really cool. It's kind of like what Lorekeepers did here. Just like, yeah, we'll just make something up. We'll go with it. It's great.
It's cool unless someone's a dickhead about it, which I know you guys would never be, but they're like, so we're in a place where no one knows where anything is. Oh, I just happen to know a cartographer. Right. You know, like that. Then it's a bit like, fuck you. But,
this drow and oh no, you go. Oh, I think I had a weird delay. Like this drow NPC was like, who is this NPC? Oh yeah, this is the chick who was entrusted with my family magical sword of arcane power.
Right,
It's
yeah.
+7, and I can cast banishment, even if I just look at a dude.
Yeah, she
Oh,
carries
she,
it with
like,
her at
hands
all
it to me.
times, just in case I run into her, which is nice and convenient because I've just run into her.
Just run into her. Yeah. Who knew? We're back. Silence hangs over the room. Marius Taxes, you arrive just in time to watch Azarax sort of just stand sort of rigid in a reaction to this. I just said stand rigid. That's like ridiculous. He stands in shock, shall we say? We'll retcon that. And he has this appalled look upon his face. What are you guys doing? And Esther is just standing there, just like in disbelief that you just did that.
What's the room look like? Is there obviously something that he's messed with?
Yeah, there's the orb that hangs sort of at the end of the room, and it appears to be sort of emanating, sort of, it almost looks like, you know, when you see solar flares coming off the sun, it's kind of like that, but with magical power rippling from it.
Marius like looks at Azarax and looks at the orb and back to Azarax.
Lise goes over to Azarax and like takes his hands in hers, and then like puts her hand against his cheek. Azarax, Azarax, are you all right?
I imagine Azarax is still standing there. The glove, the spell glove, is undulating as he stands perfectly still. But as you make contact, it balls up into a fist, and the glow stops. He takes a gasp and jumps back. I imagine his wand comes to his hand. He turns, getting his bearing, panting like he's just run up a bunch of flights of stairs. He looks to Marius, and he gets the look of a dog who you've just caught eating garbage.
Why?
It's okay. Why what?
He like shakes his head slowly. He looks like around the room.
Okay. You're probably thinking to yourself, damn it, Azarax, what are you doing again this time? But let me just tell you, this is an artifact that allows you to perhaps catch a glimpse of the future.
Oh, for
It's
fuck's sake, Azarax. He like puts his hand over his face. Are you serious? A glimpse of the future. That is wishy-washy even for a wizard like you. That is nonsense. You know that divination is not perfect in any sort of sense. It always shows you things that could be, vagueness, plays on your fears and your hopes. It's nonsense. Even I know that, and I'm not even a diviner.
Yeah, but what I mean,
What
okay,
did you
but
see?
a little
Was it
bit.
good?
This might be like there's two sides to every coin, right? What about the hierophants of old who could cast these augury rituals and commune with their gods, right? Kingdoms were saved because of this, were they not?
Or
If
they
I put
saved it?
if what is it?
How many years ago was that? What do you think if you were a Hierophant and you were also the person who wrote down all of the things that happened in the world you were from? Do you think you might write down that you did cool stuff? You know how many Inquisitors that I have seen in my life who cannot do the things that they say they can do? How many Inquisitors are supposed to be 50 feet tall and can shoot lasers from their eyes? None of them could do that, but they wrote it that way, and people think they can.
That may be true.
What did you see? I assume it was bad.
Well, how do I put this? We're going to win.
Insight check.
Oh, I hate that so much.
Here we go.
I was so close to. Okay, go ahead.
Here comes my deception. Here comes my deception. Here we go. That's a 15 on the die.
I don't think I can beat it.
I have expertise in deception, which
Oh,
is a
there's no
plus
way.
8. So that's
Oh,
a
wait.
23.
Oh my gosh, 22 on the die, and I also have a +8.
He jumps up and grabs Marius by the shoulders and shakes him, or tries to shake him. I'm sure he can't, but he tries to shake him. We're going to win! He runs over and punches Taxes in the gut. It feels like a child just punched you in the gut. We're going to win, you sons of bitches! We're going to win!
Ugh.
Taxes looks down as you punch him in the gut.
You've been spending a lot of time reading books, haven't you? It's way too happy.
We're going to win. How? What did you see? How do we win?
Yeah.
What is our strategy?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I didn't see. You know the nature of divinations. It only shows you what you want to see. It only shows you little things and glimpses. I saw at the end, everything is fine, okay?
What
That's
is it,
all I know. I
sunshine-
don't know
what
how
is
we
it,
get there.
sunshine and rainbows over there, Azarax? What the hell?
No, it's the people of the land live in freedom again.
All right. And Equinox.
I don't know.
God King. Nothing?
I don't know how we're going to win. I just know we're going to win.
Right. Well,
I look over at Elise. Like, what'd you see him do? Like, what happened? Because, like, I want to know what he did to make him think that this is the thing.
Elise has a kind of a half smile, and she goes, "Well, it's true the future is uncertain, but that is an encouraging sign. All the same. I still think, Azarax, that we should speak to Orlin before we probe any further."
You all begin to realize that time has been ticking on, and if you do want to get the benefits of resting before you embark on your mission to sabotage the Cloud March, you will need to do that and then rest, or rest and then speak to him.
there's one thing I'd like to ask you to look at the sorceress half of this conglomerate. When I went through and actually he'll realize that there's another person there and look. Can we speak privately?
Of course. And she begins to ascend the steps, and then she stops as she's halfway up, and she looks back and she says, "You know, I admire what you do. I just hope you don't want to maintain the status quo."
As you begin to head up the stairs, I think Taxes looks back and says,
Hey, I think there's a little girl up there that was looking for you. You might want to check her out. She got kind of scared when we hit the door.
"I'll look for her. Thank you." She gives you a respectful nod. And she gives you one last glance, Azarax, before ascending the rest of the stairs and disappearing into the archive.
I think at that last meeting of the eyes, I imagine Azarax would say something to her in Undercommon. Something like, "Nuraksha Mo," which is something that they used to say to each other when they were kids. That means, "Is it raining out?" Which was a sign, it was a code word for, "Is it safe?" Because the Lightcast had a really rough go of things. where he grew up. So
And-
it's sort of like a child's code word to say, "Are you okay?"
And she turns around and she looks down the stairs and she says, "We're not children anymore, Azarex. It's never safe." And she turns and leaves.
Is it safe to speak here? He like looks around. He doesn't know what he's looking for, but he's assuming that these sorcerers can hear him everywhere.
At least we'll pull the door closed. Yes, you may speak.
They're not going to be listening somehow.
No, Marius. I promise that everyone here has better things to do than listen to you complain about something.
Azarex. When I went through the gate, something came up. An item. Something magical that I don't know what it was.
So you are carrying something of power you do not know?
I have no idea.
The palm comes up and the black light flashlight scans him. I'm going to try to detect magic to see what he's holding.
Yeah, I mean, you have the familiar sense of Marius's sort of magical emanations. He has tattoos with writs of power upon his skin. He has his armor that he bears mostly all the time. He has his weapons. And there's something about him. You can't exactly tell what it is, but there's something about him that suggests not a magical item, but rather there's something upon him or around his very aura that has the potential of magical power. It's very hard to explain.
You yourself are giving off the aura of a Dwemer. Maybe it's the armor. He sort of turns around to the side, trying to see if he can see it. No, it's something else. It's curious. It's a power, as if you were invested with magical power yourself.
No, that doesn't make sense. I don't have any power. The gods grant me all the power that I have.
There's, I don't know how to tell you, but maybe they blessed you with some new boon? I don't know. Can I tell, Rob, is there any way for me to tell sort of like what school of magic it is? I think that's one of the things you could do with detect magic.
You definitely don't get it. Like I say, it's more of the potential of magic rather than it actually being like a magical aura. It's quite hard to explain. It's like, yeah, I can't really explain better than that.
And it's not like he has an active spell cast on him.
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that.
Is it something like maybe like a sorcerer would have, like latent magic in the blood?
No, in fact, it's almost like I tell you what it reminds you of. It reminds you of an aura spell. Like there's the aura of protection and things like that. Something that would surround an individual rather than it being. But something is surrounding Marius. Perhaps it's been there the whole time. You never looked that closely.
Azarex will recite all of that.
I don't like it. I don't understand it, and I don't like it. Can you remove it?
I don't think I can. I don't think that it's going to do anything to you. It's not it doesn't really have the capability to affect you because there's no magical school present, right? It's not like there's not even a hint of necromancy to it, so it cannot mess with your corporeal form. It just is. I don't know how else to explain it.
All right. Thank you.
Sure, of course. You know, while we're here,
Yes, while we're here. I kept your secret. I know the power of the telling. I saw you wield it even just now, Isarax, and I did not speak of it. At risk of destroying what little trust remains between myself and some members of the Rogue Arcane. Tell me who you think I am, for I know, and I would have it explained in full.
Marius looks at Azarax like, what the fuck?
You're loud when you're drunk.
lie after lie flash through Azarax's mind. He opens his mouth. He doesn't speak. He reaches into his bag and he pulls out a necklace. A necklace with 3 runes, 3 moons. He holds it up. And I believe, Rob, did they begin to glow?
In this proximity, it's safe to say that they always glow, and that you had wrapped it within your robes, I believe, as he'd said before. But yeah, it gets stronger the closer it gets. 3 incandescent lights shining like the moons.
We should have told you sooner than now. This was given to us by the head of the Mountain Crown Guard.
The guards
when
of Farlight, yes?
yes, look, this is it's going to be a lot. There's no easy way to say it. So, he gave us this necklace. He said, Farwide is in need of an heir, of a ruler. This necklace will point out the one of noble blood who is to lead, to be the new monarch. He said prince, but
Are you half elven?
Yes, but that's impossible.
If it was impossible, trust me, I would have figured it out by now.
wait a minute.
How long have you known?
There's an old story. Azarax changes the subject.
No. How long have you known?
Hey, honestly, this is the first I'm hearing about it, honestly. So that's on them too. I'm just gonna stay out of it.
That's a very good point. Taxes, you remember what the item was for, but you weren't there for when they found out it was least. Apologies, I forgot about that. Yes.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so Taxes knew what it does, but he wasn't there when it was
Yeah,
confirmed.
it was just me and you.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't even
Because
realize
I found the
that.
2 of you. I remember because I found the 2 of you guys out there that night, and I drug you guys back inside.
But we never told you we're fucking assholes.
Way to go, guys! Best friends forever.
Jesus! Oh my god!
Since the dragon, I suppose.
You've known since we met?
Give or take.
It's impossible. It's wrong.
It's not impossible. Unfortunately, it's not. You're the queen of Farwide.
Now think about it. I don't know. I'm going to get the story wrong, but King Artun, or the old King Artun, there's a great battle on the Cloud March. Something happened. he underwent something, some sort of a conflict or a crisis, an internal something, and he just rode away into the distance, never to be heard from again. Oh my God. Look, Lise, I understand if you don't trust us and you don't want to travel with us anymore. Just understand that we have a pretty heavy burden on our shoulders, and we've been burnt before. And to give someone the evidence that they can just walk up, take the throne. The land is in a dangerous place, and I'm not saying that I don't think you would be a good ruler. I'm saying that we had to wait to make up our mind about you, to judge your character, and we probably waited too long to tell you.
You are mistaken if you think this means I will abandon our common goal. It's just not possible. It can't be.
Well, I mean, if there's any evidence that things are impossible, I'm still living, so there's that.
We also brought Dragonborn thought long extinct back from another dimension. Destroyed an extra dimensional prison. What else have we done?
Azarax is literally.
Let me rephrase. I am stunned that my mother lied to me for 10 years. And let's be honest, it doesn't matter. Who would follow me? Some illegitimate get by a moon elf? No.
Your legitimacy is cemented by the fact that this magic amulet says that you are the queen. It's fairly hard to fake. You might say impossible. I would say difficult. But it seems that you are the Queen of Farwide. And people like magical amulets, and they like kings who pull swords from lakes, and they like strange stories about their rulers, and this is a good one. So they'll do what they're told when you arrive.
The people need hope. What better story would there be than a long-lost queen leading the battle against an seemingly unstoppable army?
You ask who would follow you,
and he sort of steps in front, and I imagine it's like the three of them now, like facing her against like a bookshelf, right? So he moves around to face.
Well, there's me, this guy,
and pointing to Azarax,
and Marius. I think we're putting our faith in you. So, I mean, you got a choice to make. At least I'm not going to push you to do it, but they're right. You ask who would follow you. Just look in front of you.
Take a point of inspiration, Chad, for that.
Listen, I don't take orders anymore from anyone at all. Not for a long time, and I won't from you. I don't follow anyone except for what the gods say. I also have no problem with you being queen. I think you'll do a good job. You seem fairly decent overall.
Well, I suppose we should save the world first, eh? And anything else can wait.
It's there we're going to cut because time is running short and you still require rest if you're going to be at peak efficiency for the deed the next day. You will return to your chambers, maybe a weight taken off some of your shoulders, more added on for some. At least you dream of the forests that you used to walk through in the land of Evermore, east of Farwide. And you see those wolves, almost like they're made of light, collecting in a circle. And as you approach, they look at you. You all rest. You are all given everything that is due to you. You get health back, spells. The incantation has been going on for the remainder of the evening. And Orlin awaits you as you arrive. As you all approach, Orlin, he looks at you, Lise, with a cold expression. You still insist on going with them?
I do. Would you have me stay here instead?
I would not have you do anything if it would. It doesn't matter. You will represent us in their numbers. I'm sure you will be well suited to the task at hand. All of you. We will attempt to keep the teleport field active for as long as possible. We have been able to attain slight intel that the repair work, the rudimentary repair work, is being guarded. But there does not seem to be any magical power about them. We estimate you will be facing either Advent Silver Guard, or maybe even mercenaries, or the Tribunal. It is hard to tell. But you must prepare for a fight. If there's anything you would wish to do before you leave, now's the time. And he looks at you with stern eyes.
Azarax will turn to his companions. And he'll say, the Cloud March is big. Like miles long and some 50 feet wide. It's going to take some firepower to blow it. I mean, I understand that they're still repairing it, but I don't know what to do. What about the remember the fight where we lost Raylan in the refinery? The black liquid they harness for power. Maybe we could harness some of that. There was a lot of energy in it. It burned very strongly. Rob, would I remember anything like around there, with like around the front of the Cloud March? Is there any way we could use any of that shit?
Yeah, from the description last session, which admittedly was a long time ago, so don't worry about it. But essentially, there is already that big hole in the Cloud March that was caused in your first encounter there. It was described as being bridged with rudimentary scaffolding, so it won't need like a sizable detonation of any kind, but it will take time to obviously undermine it. So that's really entirely down to you. You don't have any of the Magitech grenades that Flick the assassin had, unfortunately.
Fair enough. And is it just the four of us going? Do we have other people going with us or no?
It would seem they are more than willing to allow you to go alone. In fact, Marius was the one that suggested that they go in quick and quiet. But,
Fair enough.
you know.
Are they going to transport us to the scaffolding? Is that the sort of arrangement that we have? Or is it not as precise? Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Olin nods his head and he says, "We will be able to get you to the scaffold. We have been focusing all night. We have the path through the astral planes charted."
How long will we have once we get there?
It is difficult to say. It could be 5 minutes, maybe 10.
More than enough.
We know the armies of the God King have been mustered. Are they waiting to cross? Or are they still en route?
The forces of Advent are waiting to cross. The Seneschal Society is obviously contributing, but I do not believe they will be arriving en masse, at least not yet. They wish far wide to be torn apart by these fanatics. And by the look of it, they're confident in Advent doing that for them. But we cannot assume that they will not have help from other parties. When you are taken from the Cloud March, instead of preparing, we can have you dropped to the location that the witch hunters reside. We can leave you a day's travel from there if you wish. It is a place known as Lost Cavalon, an ancient city, older even than Freedom Salvation. But it has been cursed for a number of years, hundreds of years, and none have dwelt there for that time.
We'll meet the drow there.
The drow?
The drow.
How long would it take for the drow to come from Talazan through the gates?
Did you say you sent word? I can't remember, I'm afraid.
Yep, we had organized that they would meet us near the site the witch hunters are at. There was actually a point on the map where we pointed to, which is probably this place.
Yes, absolutely. In that case, then perhaps one of your gutter snipes, Azarax, was able to send a message, or no, in fact, even better, a whispering scroll from perhaps your own creation could have been sent. They can absolutely send a force to Lost Cavalon. Would you have wanted all of them to go there?
I sort of think a strike force would be better. What do you think?
I feel, I can't remember, so long ago, but I feel like we said we would take some drow but send most of them to Freedom Salvation, along with the Mountain Guard and the Dragonborn, because they can fly.
Perfect. So
Like
a strike force of 100, 500? Not 500, that isn't a strike force. 50? What do you want?
Azarax will open up this scroll, and a whispering message from one of his gutter snipes will come out. Do I have any idea? Do we have any idea how many witch hunters are there?
No, you just know that they're en masse.
So he'll roll it up and he'll say, "Marius, you will know better than anyone."
You imagine that it is a march contingent, so there is likely to be en masse. Witch hunters generally work alone, so there won't be thousands of them. You estimate around a good 100, maybe more.
So then Marius would say 50, and the idea would be that we would get in quickly, quietly, take out the Inquisitors, cause hassle. We don't want to like fight them in a straight up, because they're soldiers and like are made for that. So we want to try and like take them out, spec op style.
Perfect. And you will have the travel time to get to Lost Cavalon, like the day's journey, to be able to make any final preparations and meet the drow, of course. Perfect. Now that that's all settled, all in motions to the circle that has been etched into the ground with magical forces. It gleams all different colors, and you can see there's ripples of wind sort of swirling about within it.
Just so that I'm clear on the plan, after we hypothetically accomplish our goal at the Cloud March, we're going to be teleported not back to here, but close to where the witch hunters are. Is that right?
Correct. And otherwise they'd have to wait and do another ritual to teleport you again.
And how far away are we going to be?
Where you are at the moment, to get to the Cloud March, it's a good many days, and the same for Lost Cavalon.
Okay, yeah. So I guess when we travel to Lost Cavalon, Azarax will ask it out loud. Is our intention to strike at the Cloud March and then immediately strike at Lost Cavalon? Or are we going to try to muster our forces? I'm just wondering.
As quickly as possible, I would imagine. If the drow are there waiting for us, all the better. We can move immediately. We want to give them as little time to coordinate as possible.
Okay. I can disguise our forms. I will make us look like Silver Guard. I can change it if we see that there's something else. Azrax will look to his companions to make sure that all of them are okay before casting a spell on them. Any objections? He waves his hand and his forms shimmer and all of our forms shimmer, and all of a sudden we're standing there in shining Silver Guard armor. Azarax walks up to them he says, "Now look, I let you in on a little trade secret. Once you understand the way that the light plays on an illusion, you can see through it. Watch." He'll grab Taxes' hand and put it on his own shoulder, and Taxes will see his form wobble for a moment. He'll do it to each of them, and afterwards, it's almost as if you're looking through gossamer. You're able to see the person underneath the illusion.
Amazing. So in your disguises, you step into the circle of arcane energy. Orlin gives you one last look, Lise, before he gives his associates a nod. It is like a fell wind erupts from beneath you, and it is the strangest feeling. You are being unmade from this world and flung at alarming speed into the astral plane. You see whirling blue lights spinning around you as the four of you arc through another dimension. And then you all land, and the force of it is enough to stagger you almost as you arrive, and you feel the bitter wind and the snow falling upon you. You see mountains surrounding you, and you see a familiar sight. The Cloud March, where this all began. You see that you are not far from the place where you first saw Equinox, that yellow eye scanning you, watching you run with the book he desperately sought after. And you see that scaffolding has been erected to bridge the gap. It looks sturdy, but it's a quick job. you can see that there are a number of people working, hammering it together with mallets and leather wrappings. But standing between you and the scaffolding are 4 figures. They stand in battered armor. Each of them has a different symbol carved into their breastplates. They're human, but they look peculiar. They have strange colored eyes. And one of them turns around and is visibly shocked by your appearance. 4 Silver Guard have just teleported out of nowhere. And he turns and he says, "Who are you?"
Patrol, sir.
Where did you come from?
The bridge, sir.
He blinks once, looks at his friends, who are sort of also completely shocked, and you notice that 2 of them take a step back from you.
Orders, sir.
How did you get here?
I look at the other Silver Guard with me, like I'm confused as to why this man is so confused.
What's the holdup?
Why are you bothering us? We are trying to do a job.
Forgive me. I'm just not accustomed to your kind just appearing. Aren't you supposed to be forming up? And he points down the long walk of the Cloud March. And it's almost like you can see the glimmer of silver far on the horizon. We were sent ahead. We were told not to engage, and we were not informed that we would be meeting anyone.
We were sent ahead a couple of days ago, sir. Making our way back.
Huh. And he looks at you very confused.
We were also told that this job was going to be done by now. What's the holdup?
Now you listen here, you filthy little maggot. We've been paid as an advanced force. We ain't some freaky, mind-bent fanatics. We're here to guard this and nothing more. You don't.
I've seen better carpentry from a child.
One of them basically looks over to clearly the leader and sort of is kind of like, "Are you going to take that from him?" These types, I mean, Marius, it'll probably be most obvious to you first. These are definitely mercenaries who have just been sent here to sort of watch over the proceedings of the construction of the repairs. And they're very confused, and you can see that, like mercenaries often get, they're very shifty.
I put my hands wide and take a few steps forward. There's no need for any sort of hassle here. Look, we've both been given similar jobs. There's no need for any problem. We'll head this way. You head this way. We'll say nothing, and you'll still get paid, eh?
Well, be on your way. Look quick about it. And he sort of is rounding his shoulders as if trying to save face, but obviously he was really taken aback by how you spoke to him.
And when I get close enough, I'm just going to try and smash a skull in with my hammer.
You get to make that attack. Yes, then we'll roll initiative. Jesus Christ.
Is he surprised?
He is.
Yes. That'll be a 19.
Connects.
It will come as no surprise that I'll be smiting this man.
I thought maybe he would be.
Goodness me. 8. 28 damage.
You smash this individual with the power of the old gods, and a blast of light just rips through him as he is staggered back, incredibly injured by your assault. And now I ask, we roll initiative.
Lise is entirely taken aback by Marius's actions. She, I think, has not traveled with him long enough to expect his unpredictableness. Unpredictability, that's the word I was looking for.
Who has higher dex between Azarax and Taxes?
I have a 16 dex.
I do not have that, so you can certainly go first.
Okay, yeah. Azarax, you're up.
Absolutely. As the hammer of justice comes down upon this man, how far away are we from the what's it called? From the broken bridge?
40 feet.
Absolutely. We would see Azarax step forward also. I imagine that he's got the illusion of a sword, and as he whips it to the side, we see his form shimmer. This is a phantasm seen only by the guards in front of us, but they would see his form shimmer. A long red cloak, a mask split in the middle, and a golden eye begins to glow. As he says, "You infidels, I shall destroy you!" He waves his sword and a blast of yellow light comes out in a cone as I cast fear on these motherfuckers. So they're going to need to make a wisdom saving throw. Let me pull it up real quick. Oh, shit.
Sure. What DC?
DC is 16.
Okay, what happens if they fail, though, Chris?
Okay, wisdom saving throw or drop whatever they're holding and become frightened for the duration. It must take its action to dash and move as far away from me as possible. Safest route. They're not going to fall off the cliff.
The four of them look at you in terror. This visage of the Lord of Advent before them. And they run. Every single one of them, all four of them, just turn around, they drop their weapons, and they start running away. Opportunity attacks from all of you.
Yeah, so I think it's fine however you want to do it. I think technically they'll run on their turn.
Right on.
Okay.
But they are frightened, and that means that they have disadvantage on ability checks,
Yep.
but not advantage against them. So,
Okay. In that case, Taxes, it is your turn.
Okay, so that went interesting. So Taxis sees Marius like break character, like the smash of the hammer, Azarax just scaring the crap out of them, and he takes that moment to just pounce, and the blades come flying forward, and he gets into that predator slide and stabs once, stabs twice as I hit for both of them against one of the guys. And I'm going to do, let's see. Dang it. Yeah, 22 and 21 damage on each attack.
So you are attacking one that has an eagle emblazed upon his chest. Tell me how you kill him.
Yeah, so I think this is the guy that I made fun of, that like was starting to see through the ruse, and I grab him by like a big bear hug, and then slam him on the ground, and then just two scimitars straight to the chest and pull out.
Amazing. And he's sort of spluttering as you bestialize him upon the ground. Good work, Marius.
Okay, I've pre-rolled. I'm going to drop the hammer onto the ground with like a thunk and pull the greatsword from my back because I need to do this quickly. I've rolled twice. I got a 21 and a 24 to hit for 14 damage and 16 damage.
How'd you kill the leader?
So I bring the greatsword out and I use the pommel to like crack him in the forehead. And as he like stands back, the greatsword slashes across his throat, and then I kick him onto the ground.
Amazing. And he falls hard. He staggers back a bit and he falls hard on the wooden gangway behind him, and he breathes his last. The two of the others are going to desperately try and run away. One of them has what looks to be a skull on his breastplate. The other has what looks to be like a totem pole thing almost. And they are going to just dash away now without their weapons away from you. And that is how they're going to spend their turn. Opportunity attacks for, let me see, Azrax and Lise, if you want them.
16 to hit.
Just misses, I'm afraid.
I have a 19 to hit.
You connect with the one who bears the skull upon his breastplate.
I gotcha. Do I have an ally within distance
Yes,
for a
Lise.
sneak attack? Okay, good. Oh, that's pretty good. That's 12 plus the 15 points of damage.
Yeah, you slice at him and he staggers, but he's able to keep running just barely.
He'll call out, "I will spare your life if you stop."
They turn around, running, but they're really terrified. But they're looking over their shoulders at you. Maybe you'll be able to stop them on your turn. We shall see. Lise. Two of them are running. One is injured.
Lise stomps her foot, and you see this little green shoot out from her foot towards them, and then suddenly it springs up around the ground, and they need to make DC 16 strength saves or be restrained. They're also going to be in difficult terrain for the next 20 feet.
Oh my god. What was the DC, sorry?
16.
Describe how you stop them.
Yeah, it looks like the grass just comes up over their boots and catches their legs and ankles.
Sorry, muted. They turn around and they have a look at abject horror in their eyes. Their gaze never has really left Azarax, who is the epitome of death before them. They are absolutely terrified, but then their vision goes from you to above you and behind you. You are all able to spin as you follow their gaze. And high above you, a huge shape looms. It has a vast, leathery wingspan. It has a long serpentine tail and 3 heads. It is an abomination of the worst kind that is hurtling out of the sky with claws aimed at you. One of its heads belongs to a goat, the other a snow tiger, and the final a dragon. A chimera is swooping down upon your position, and it is there. We're going to take a short break.
I've never seen a chimera before. I'm so excited.
And we will just a really short break, 2 minutes, bathroom break, and we'll be back into it. Back in a moment. I'm back. The Chimera, one of my favorite from the Monster Manual. Well, and Greek Legend. Copy that initiative.
Yeah. Fastest gun in the West, they call me.
Never come across a Chimera then, Lloyd.
Never. There's so many iconic D&D monsters that I've never fought because most of my D&D games that I've played have not been like fantasy. You know, like loads of them have been like grim and like low fantasy and low magic. So I haven't come across so many of the monsters, like the iconic ones.
Mm.
So when I do, I'm always like, you're really excited.
Chimeras are awesome. Lloyd, why do we care if the mercenaries get away? Aren't we going to blow up this fucking bridge?
Sure, but if they, I mean, it has to depend. It depends how far away they get, right? Because if they get to the Silver Garden, like, are like, come over here.
But we're
You don't
on
really
the
want
other
that.
side, aren't we?
I don't know how far away they are. Maybe they're really far away.
Yeah, and I was also
there's gonna
thinking,
be
like,
witnesses unless we kill all of the fucking workers, which I don't think that's what we want to do.
well, we also don't know how many other men they have with them, and like if they go and alert 50 more people, that's a bit problematic for us having enough
Fair
time
enough.
to destroy the bridge. But now we have a Chimera.
I have such a plan for this Chimera.
Oh God. Well, we'll see what our plans are. I'm wondering if we're thinking the same thing.
Cloud March round 2, motherfuckers.
Ding, ding.
This one has a tiger head though. There's a really cool picture. I was going to bring it up, but I didn't have time. There's a Chimera that has it's a tiger instead of a lion. I just thought it looks rad, so screw it. It will be a tiger. Where's Chad?
Taking liberty with 2 minutes.
Had a heart attack there. Everyone went quiet, and I was like, "Oh no!" And I had my screen away, and I was like,
That's happened a couple times. I've clicked on Lloyd's screen. Is it for me? Sometimes, Lloyd, if I click on your screen, I can't see you. I don't know why.
yeah,
It's black.
Lloyd's XSplit has been doing
Yeah,
this
it's been
thing.
guilty of some fuckery recently.
I see. Okay, yeah. I keep thinking that I'm fucking frozen. I like click and I'm like,
Me too. It frightens me. We have Chad. Excellent. So,
all right.
this unearthly cry of 3 bestial voices echoes across the Cloud March as the Chimera of the Hourglass, a beast of legend, descends upon you. It sweeps above you, and I'm going to require all 4 of you to make a dexterity saving throw, please.
You all have +5 from my Paladin aura.
Okay. Okay. Lloyd, did you post yours, or is that the 16 under the initiative?
Yeah, 16 there.
Okay, you were all successful in hurling yourselves out of the way as a humongous blast of lightning erupts from the blue dragon's mouth, and it arcs across the bridge. Now, you evade it. However, you all take half damage as the electricity electrifies through the ground as this thing just strafes you from the sky and sweeps past you. Unless you have evasion of some type, which, Lucrece, you might have.
I do not. I only have one level of rogue.
That's a shame.
Lise sees this happening, and she throws her hand out towards Azarax, and you see a shimmer of blue. He's resistant to the lightning damage.
Excellent. So you all take half, which in total would be 27 points of lightning damage for you all, but then you take half of 27, Azarax. Whatever that is.
Holy shit, that's clutch.
And as it sweeps above you, you feel the breeze across you as it goes above you, and it begins to arc in the sky, and then it starts rounding on you once again. Azarax, it is your turn.
I imagine as this thing turns around. Okay, I made, how much damage did I take? I just need it for my concentration check. 27 divided by 2. Okay, 13. I rolled a 13 on the die for my concentration. That's a 13. It's a 12 on the die. Oh, but it's 10 or... Fuck, what's the concentration check? Do you guys know off the top of your head?
Or half the damage.
Half the
Whichever is
damage.
higher, yeah.
Okay, so it would be 10 because it was less than 20 damage, right?
Sure.
So the fear spell is maintained. I imagine seeing this creature flying in the sky above us. Azarax would wave his hand, an ancient drow curse, as he hisses words in Undercommon. He reaches his, not his spell glove, but his good hand up as I use my racial ability to cast Fairy Fire. The Chimera must make a dexterity saving throw.
Okay, let's see.
Against DC is not as high, though. The DC is, because it's charisma based.
Mhm.
So the DC should be 14.
In that case, it is able to evade your fairy fire lights like a beacon within the air, and it almost does this spectacular looking barrel roll where it brings in its wings and it rolls around your fairy fire and maintains its trajectory, gunning towards you, a phantom on the breeze.
Azarax will dart to the side and attempt to take cover behind one of the broken pieces of the Cloud March, putting a little bit of space between him and his party.
Taxes, you're looking up as this fell beast is just swinging back towards you. What are you going to do? It's pretty high up in the air.
Taxes is absolutely flabbergasted. He breaks character as he stops assuming the human guard form. Son of a bitch. And he, for a minute, his claw scrapes the stone of like the Cloud March. And it's one spark just comes off the end of it. And you see him for a second. I don't know who's near him. Maybe Azarax, maybe Elise, but you see him for a second. And then it's like he mirages out of existence as he begins to charge forward. And he is gone completely. Going completely predator stealth. I'm going to start moving away from the Chimera, trying to get to some cover. But basically what I'd like to try to do is figure a way that I can attack this thing without having to climb up somewhere and jump off of it. So Rob, if you could kind of like...
Yeah, problem is that you're on the Cloud March and it's just a straight bridge.
It's a straight bridge and it's a flying creature. So the only reason I'm asking is because I just don't know how I would attack it.
It's fine, man. What you can do is you can... I mean, do you have any projectiles?
I do have my fire.
You do have your crossbow.
And I do have my crossbow. Yeah. Yeah, let's go with that. I think I'll try to get behind cover, and I'll just. Oh wait, I don't have a crossbow anymore. Remember, we changed me to a barbarian. So
Throw a
I don't think I have
spear.
a crossbow anymore. Throw a spear. Ooh, okay.
Sure. I'll let you throw a
Yeah.
spear.
Sure. I imagine that he probably does have some extra weapons that he probably grabbed from and gear. So he probably does have something like a javelin. And he gets behind this cover and just completely silently he tries to hit one of the wings because he knows that as soon as you could take a wing down, you can take a dragon down.
Okay, make your attack. And damage for a javelin is 1d8 plus strength mod damage. Thank you, Lloyd.
Okay, so okay. 16? 16 to hit?
Afraid the javelin soars just over its wing, sadly, as it continues its strafing run. But with like a full movement as well, I'm going to say that because you've used your ring to go camouflaging, haven't you? So it'll have to see if it can spot you. Excellent work. Okay. It is now Marius. You see this beast coming towards you.
How high is it?
Let me see. 60 feet.
60.
And it's away from you and above, so it's like coming towards you.
I think that's the correct distance. Let me just check.
Misty Step is 60 feet, I'm pretty sure.
Excellent. That's what I want. So I'm going to run towards it. I also checked the jump itself. Like as a normal character, I can jump 3 plus my strength mod. So I can jump 8 feet in the air straight up. And then I'm going to, once I get up high, Misty Step the rest of the way and hopefully land on it or above it or in front of it and just try and land on it.
Yep, you can absolutely do that. So I would like you to make an athletics roll, and then judging on how well that roll goes, we will describe what happens.
Perfect. I love me some athletics. Yes. It's a 16 on the die plus 8. So 24.
Describe how you disappear. You jump into the air and disappear and grab it. You succeed.
So he's like watching it above, and he's like trying to time it right, and he's like incanted the blessing to the point that he needs it, and then he's waiting to like activate the final word when it gets close enough. And he sees it like approach, and he just goes, and like the power of the armor, this insane strength, allows him to jump higher than he usually would be able to, and then he just appears like right above it and in front of it, and like lands on top of it. I'm then going to just kick the shit out of it. That was my bonus action. I'm going to attack it twice with a big sword with the hope of steering it. So here's to try and explain. It's got 3 heads, right? I want it to crash into the scaffolding. So whichever head I need to hit, like left or right, that's the one I'll hit to try and make it turn in that direction so it'll crash into the scaffolding.
That's amazing. You can do whatever your first attack with advantage for that, yes.
That's a critical hit.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Okay, and I'll make my second attack as well. That'll be a 16, which probably misses, I think.
I'm afraid it does, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, give me a second while I do this damage. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, so Marius appears on this thing and just brings the sword down upon you want to be sending it slightly left, so you hit the dragon head, which is on the far right, so making it go in the opposite direction, and you begin careening out of the air towards the scaffold. The mercenaries are going to attempt to break free from their entanglement. Lise, was it 16?
Yep, 16.
Strength? Lise, they are a captive audience. They are desperately trying to get out of this thing, and they're just watching in horror as you engage with this terrifying beast. So they are unable to do anything. We're back to the top of the round, and first of all, it's going to try and overpower.
Nope.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Don't skip me.
So it's just
52
your
damage, Rob.
Oh, holy Christ.
I use my Wrath of the Witch on you.
Okay. Lise, what do you do?
At least when this thing appeared, she begins getting out her bow, and she fires an arrow, and it's going true. And then Marius appears on this creature, and it careens to the left, and it goes wide. Marius! And then she'll just look around to see where Taxes and Azarax are, but mostly she's keeping her eyes on the Chimera.
And you watch it as it's just gunning straight for the ground. First of all, it's going to try and overpower Marius's athletics check. So oppose that if you wouldn't mind, please, Lloyd.
22.
It gets 27. So essentially, the tiger mouth basically is able to reach round and it bites down hard onto your arm.
Yeah.
As it starts careening into the ground. Its first attack is going to be against you with the tiger, Lloyd. So it is going to hit anyway, giving you 13 points of piercing damage as the tiger's teeth begins to sink between the plates of your armor as you are careening out of the ground, out of the sky. It smashes into the ground. And it goes to butt at Taxes with its goat head. That is a critical success, I'm afraid. Taxes, this goat's horns just come out of nowhere, despite the fact that you're hidden, and it goes straight through your shoulder. Let us see how much it does.
Okay, let me check something, because I think with being a barbarian, I think I get resistance to bludgeoning damage. So if it is a butting of a ram's head, if it is bludgeoning, then I'd have resistance to that, but I'll check it.
I think you just get half of any normal damage, I believe.
Yeah, half normal damage. Yeah, that's
okay.
I want to make sure.
That's not so bad then. It's still a crit though.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's lucky. So you take 15 points of bludgeoning damage as this thing just goes bam into you, and you kind of roll back in your camouflaged form. And finally, the dragon head is going to take a bite at you, Azarax. Tell me how you dodge out of the way as it snaps its jaws at you.
I imagine that Azarax is he's ducking down behind this large piece of stone, and all of a sudden it goes out of view. He hears like this just horrible growls and gut-wrenching shrieks. He sees the shadow appear over him and jumps out of the way just before it bites down into the dust where he just was.
Incredible. It is now your turn.
Jumping up to his feet and skittering back, he takes a gauge of his surroundings. Now, these two mercenaries who ran away, did they run like closer to the bridge?
Yeah, they are basically on top of it.
So he turns, he's backpedaling, he sees this huge shrieking creature with Marius riding on top of it. Here's a question, is the teleportation gate still warbling and just sitting there open?
You can just see the slightest hint of it, it's sort of see-through and transparent, but you can see it's kind of there, yeah.
Absolutely. And with that, he gets clarity. He understands what he must do. We see, if anybody would see him out of the corner of their eye, they would see the sigil on the spell glove begin to whir and spin faster and faster than it ever has before. A blinding bead of blue energy begins undulating in front of it. It shoots out towards the bridge, and all of a sudden, a gargantuan ball of fire appears 20 feet in diameter. I'm casting fireball on these motherfuckers. I'm trying to blow up the bridge and those mercenaries in one go.
They're going to get disadvantage on the dex saves for that, I believe.
Oh my god, it's been a long time since I've rolled a...
So do they automatically fail if they're restrained?
Yes. They are restrained. Oh shit. Oh no.
That's probably the worst fireball roll I ever did. That's 18 points of fire damage. The DC is 16.
Tell me what it's like as you eviscerate the people who are entangled and some of the people that are trying to get off the scaffolding, workers and slaves.
He understands. He feels the power. The power of the evokers. He's read about this. It's intoxicating. He's seen woodblock carvings of robed men with long white beards holding out their hands with fire coming from it, and he understands the appeal. As this huge whoosh of fire, he is truly master of the elements, and he is happy.
Point of inspiration, 15 sessions without a damage spell. Nice job. That was amazing. Fantastic. It is now Taxus's turn. This chimera is basically in front of you, and Marius is sort of locked with it.
Okay, so the chimera is down on the ground. The bridge just blew, like basically just had a giant chunk of it exploded out. Yeah, we need to put this chimera down. So I think he moves up from the blast. He moves up and he's going to go and take a shot directly at the goat head that beat him and pushed him back. Oh, cool. Yeah. So that's going to be a 21 and a 27 to hit.
Both connect.
Okay, cool. And then that's going to be 13. No, okay, it's 11. 15 and 22, or 21. 15 and 21. Oh, and then forgot to keep, 15 and 21 to hit. Yeah, sorry. I realized I was using my bone scimitars instead of the flame tongue.
No problem. Yeah, so you slice aggressively into this thing and it gives a whining howl from a bleating howl from the goat's head as you slice into it again and again. You see that one in particular looks pretty bad. Marius.
Is there a way for me to make this thing fly through the scaffold? That's what I want to do most of all, like try and get it to get up again into the air, because I don't want it to kill it. I don't want it killing Azarax and Lise, who cannot be taking hits from this enormous monster. So I'm going to try and pull it, or pull it up so that it'll take off, as opposed to stay here and fight up close with these people I should be protecting.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me an athletics.
Yes, sir.
Its teeth just locked around your arm.
Okay, 23.
So it gets exactly the same. So this is what happens. You've got your arm in its mouth like that, and you just give an almighty wrench, and it basically lifts and it takes off into the air, and its tiger paws basically just latch onto you as it lifts into the air, and it's sort of almost going backwards on itself. It looks confused as to what's going on. It's never been grabbed like this before.
Excellent. So to get mechanical, that's the first of my attacks. You can do grapple as an attack. I will then try and stab it in the face. And again, I'll try and get it so that it spins and will fall. I don't know how possible that is, but I'm trying to urge it into the gap where the scaffolding is. I
will gladly offer help with that if I can do athletics to stay on the face of the goat. I would like
on
to,
the face. Excellent.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to stay on the face with direct the head of traffic if possible.
Absolutely.
I get a 23 to hit.
Would you mind doing some damage for me, please?
That's a nat 20 on my athletics check to stay on the face of this thing.
Okay. Which head were you aiming for when you were striking, Lloyd?
So I can't picture it too clearly in my mind, but basically the one that would cause it to spin back down towards the scaffold.
The goat.
That's what I'll hit. Yeah, I did 17 points of slashing damage.
Tell me what it's like when the chimera both loses its goat head and goes through the scaffold.
It's the most glorious moment of Marius's life, I think. He's like got it. The tiger paw's like wrapped around him, and it's like this insane struggle as like Taxus is like hanging on as well, and he like manages to like basically half sword his greatsword and just like dunk the tip of it into the neck of the goat, and then just like push it all the way through, and then like it's just like wrenching. It's really not like beautiful or even skilled. It's just desperate, and he's just like wrenching it back and forth until finally there's like a and it falls off and then collapses into the scaffold.
Yeah, one of the goat head bounces off the scaffold and then falls over the edge of the cloud march. You collide into the scaffold and it splinters. You are on top of this beast and you look in horror as cracks begin to form all throughout the wood, and you see you have seconds to dive before this thing gives way. Give me a dexterity saving throw.
Yes, sir. 14. If that's not good enough, I will Misty Step.
It isn't good enough. The wood is just collapsing beneath your feet.
So I try to get away, and I realize that it's like falling apart, and I can like feel it beneath me, and I quickly incant the prayer and like appear back on the side where my friends are.
You do. You arrive, and you're standing there with your friends there. But Taxes, I'm afraid you're still hanging on, so you're going to need to do exactly the same. Dexterity saving throw, please.
Yes, indeed. And so let's do this. Aha, yeah. So that's going to be an 18.
Yeah, you're just able to hurl yourself off the scaffold as it is splintering around you, and the beast falls through the gap. That makes it the mercenaries' turn. They're desperate to get out. They're screaming. They are horrified of what's happening. They haven't rolled higher than a 4 in like 2 turns. They're just struggling against the entanglement, looking in horror at the destruction in front of them. Lise.
What shape is the bridge in?
There's a huge hole in the middle of it.
Can I get dimensions for the size of the hole and how much is left kind of on either side?
Okay, so it's 50 feet wide. So I will say 30 feet in the middle is gone.
Okay. Can I still see the chimera, or is it...
It's disappeared through the gap.
Okay. Lise begins to call a spell, but she's going to hold her action for if the chimera reappears.
The beat of powerful wings as this creature rises from the gap, blood pouring from one side of it. It's giving a look of absolute fury down upon you, but you have readied your action. It rises to meet you.
There is a sudden flash and crack of thunder and lightning, and I'm going to hit the tiger head for this specifically. It needs to make a dexterity save.
It will attempt it.
DC 16.
It fails.
Ooh. So as this thing appears, the lightning hits it, and it will take 23 lightning damage.
Very good. Very clever. Okay. It racks through it. You can see that the hair of the tiger, the fur of the tiger, is jarring on the edges as this power scores through it, and it's like as it begins to bear down upon you, Lise. First of all, I would like all of you to make a dexterity saving throw as the dragon opens its mouth once more. Being lazy, I have a dice roller for the amount of dice it rolls for this.
You each have +5 to this again because of my aura.
But that's really, really super helpful.
Paladins, bitch. You all succeed, so you all take half. Okay. That is 17 points of lightning damage. That's it halved. And does Azrak still have that resistance?
That was only for the one round.
Okay, then yeah, 17 points
But
of.
you see the same thing happen again. She sees the lightning coming, and she looks and can just spot Azarax. And she throws her hand out, and that same blue covers him.
Describe what it's like, Lucas, when you avoid most of the damage from this like barrage of lightning from this dragon mouth.
I imagine this is the second time that this has happened, and he jumps to the side, and I imagine that he's ducking next to a broken column, and I imagine like a kid, he ducks down and puts his hands over his head, but it's nowhere near as bad as he expects it to be. He feels that blue energy around him, sheltering him, and knows that his ally has protected him once again.
And it's not over because it beats its wings and it moves forward and it is going to aim a tiger bite at Marius. AC now, Marius?
18.
How do you defend against it as it bites down at you?
Rolls out of the way is the only possible way that he could. He's not parrying something from this. He just sees it coming and like rolls onto his back and away.
Azarax, your turn.
Is this thing up in the air?
Yeah, but only 10 feet or so. It's like right in front of you, just like that.
Yeah, imagine emboldened with Lisa's protection. I imagine we see Azarak run forward. Is Marius engaged with it? Is anyone engaged with this creature right now?
I consider you engaged with it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So imagine that he runs forward. The goat mouth bites down. He ducks underneath it, rolls up to his knees, and jumps upward. As he does so, there's a line of flame that appears across his drow scimitar as I cast a cantrip green flame blade on this motherfucker.
Nice.
I don't think that's going to hit. That's a 6 on the die. I'm going to use a point of inspiration.
Do it.
Well, it's a 9 on the die, plus 6 is a 15. Still not going to do it.
Not going to do it, I'm afraid. Yeah, you make an attempt and the gout of your flame blade, but it is ineffective against its presence at this time. Is there anything else you can do?
I think that's it.
Right on. You're looking at this terrifying beast taxes. You just managed to hurl yourself out of the way of certain doom, and it's your turn.
Taxes is tired of getting like gout after gout of this like electrical stream of flame coming at him, and he just stares that dragon to dragon face, right? Sheathes his scimitars, reaches to his back, pulls out the long flame tongue, cuts himself just a bit, and it hurls into flame. And he's going to try and burn the head off this dragon.
Bring it down.
Ooh, I hope that'll hit.
AC 18.
AC 18. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Good. That will just make it then. So that'll be 8, 17. Oh, so plus 11. 19 damage plus my 2d6. Hold up. 19 plus 2d6. 6, 9. Okay. So 19 plus 9. 28.
28
Yeah.
points of damage.
28
Fantastic.
points of damage from the strike of that flame blade, just as it rips through the face of this thing. Just
Yeah. You catch it right on the side of the jaw like that, and you see sparks erupt from its mouth as it goes. It is now Marius's turn.
So Marius is like barely breathing. He's been like slashed and bitten and electrocuted many times, and you can see there's still like electricity running across him, and he's like, and he's like trying. He attempts to stand up to go and fight it, and it falls back down to his knee. And so he's gonna like quickly like wrench off one of his gauntlets, and he's gonna like take the hand and like press it against his chest and lay on hands for 40 hit points back.
Paladins, bitch.
Yep, so ridiculous. That's my action. That's it for me.
Perfect. Yeah.
Actually, I will try and interpose myself between the thing and. Can I look? If I look, who's worst off of the group? Is it Azarax or Lise?
You guys tell me.
Azarax is, I imagine that his robes are singed with electrical energy, but he's moving. He doesn't, I mean, he's still standing.
Okay, so he'll go and probably unexpectedly, like run in front of Lise between it and her. He's gonna like pull out his shield, slam the sword back, and pick up the hammer as he runs towards it.
Great job. I just realized I made a roll for the mercenaries when they got incinerated, didn't I? Did
I
do that?
thought maybe they'd survived.
No, they definitely died. I forgot about that.
I was wondering about that too.
They're
Yeah.
definitely incinerated. They're definitely gone. That was a mistake on my part. They're just still there on the initiative. In which case, that makes it Lisa's turn.
So Lise is, and so Azarax is engaged with this thing immediately, right?
I believe he is, yeah.
Melee.
Yeah, right up close.
Yeah. Lise like almost pats Marius on the shoulder as she runs past him, and comes up with her scimitar and comes up alongside Azarax. She's gonna strike out at the tiger head. 23 to hit.
Yes, connects.
8 damage. It's not stellar, but she's putting herself shoulder to shoulder with Azarax.
You cut deep into the tiger's face, and blood pours from one of its eyes, and it looks rabidly at you, but it is still going. Anything else you could do?
That's it for now.
And it retaliates. The tiger bites hard at you, Lise. What's your AC?
16.
It connects with a ferocious bite for not that bad. 9 points of piercing damage.
Yeah, she feels the teeth digging into her forearm.
And the dragon mouth turns round and it concentrates its fire. It's also going to try and bite at you, Lise. That's also going to connect for 13 points of piercing damage.
Yeah, that one almost knocks her back a little bit. But she's still standing.
And it goes, and it roars directly in your face. The thing is enough to make you tremble. Azarax.
I imagine looking up, it's is it like morning time? Is it afternoon? It's daytime, right?
It's dawn.
It's dawn, right? So imagine looking up at the salmon-colored sky, the sun just peeking over the horizon, scintillating off of the visor of Veritor. Azarax puts his hand on Lisa's shoulder, takes a step back, looks up. He sees the parallax between this creature above us and the clouds on top. He reaches up again, the spell glove scintillating, shoots a bead of fire directly between the two heads up into the air as it explodes in a fireball in the sky, whooshing down. I imagine both him and Lise duck down as the fire barely evades us as I cast fireball again.
Dex saves here.
Dex save against 16.
It takes the full amount. Off you go.
Full amount. Here we go. A fistful of dice. This is for you, Matt Click. Oh man, I'm glad I fucking intoned the name of our Lord and Master Matt Click. This looks like a good roll.
What does the fistful
How
bring?
many are you rolling right now?
It's a fireball, man. It's powerful.
It's 8d6. That's 28 points of fire damage.
Explain how the tiger head explodes.
I imagine that the dragon head turns down, perhaps because of its draconic lineage. It's more used to this elemental damage, but the tiger head turns directly up to face it, and like a fucking blue sun in front of it, just these waves of flaming energy shoot down, melting its face off to the fucking skull.
Amazing. The creature basically gives a beat of its wings in an attempt to try and stay up, but the power of the explosion drives it to the ground. It slams and it just whirls around. You're able to sort of step back slightly as a tail sweeps at you. And it is dangerously wounded at this point. And it looks really fucking annoyed. Taxes.
Tax is going to aim to take that dragon head off. And I already pre-rolled, and I hit both times. So I did a total for both attacks of 45 damage. So...
Motherfucker.
Yeah. So basically, Taxis is just pissed off to all hell. He sees his brother Azarax just melting the face of this goat-like chimera. The tiger's just face is just melting off. And not to be outdone, Taxis just whips this blade around and just one after the other, like blood pouring from the neck wound of the dragon head.
But it yet breathes. But your devastating attacks leave powerful lines of just, you can see this viscera just coming out of its face, this ghastly dragon face glaring at you.
I roar back at it, just unabashedly.
Yeah, that's so cool. Marius.
Okay, I'm going to run at it, and seeing that it's like surrounded on all sides, I'm going to find like a weak point. I can see that it's like facing all of my companions, so I'm just going to like move behind it, basically into the side, and like get a look at its spine and just bring the pointy end of the hammer down on it twice. I rolled a 23 and a 26, which I think both hit.
They do.
Excellent, and I've done 28 points of damage.
Fuck. Tell me how you beat it within an inch of its life, but yet still it remains.
He like can see that this is the way to kill it. Like this is how you kill a man. This is how you kill anything that walks. And so he like flips forgiveness around and like gets the pointy end that you use to pierce armor and just like basically grabs a hold of its fur and like leaps up and smashes it twice into the sort of lower part of its back, and it starts to like twitch, and he like jumps away from it again.
And it goes like a guttural gurgle from it now. It's just so broken and disturbed. I'm doing a morale thing. It's stubborn. It's staying. I don't know why I roll for it then, because it's not his turn. It's Lisa's turn.
Will a 21 hit?
It will. please say you kill it, because you don't want another round of this thing going at you.
I really don't want another round, but I really don't do a lot of damage with a scimitar. Oh god.
Okay, well, hopefully.
So Lisa's very weak at this point, but she's still standing her ground. That's 4 damage. I rolled minimum.
It's you slice it across its face, and it's just like a as it looks back at you, and the dragon head goes to bite at. Let's see. I'm going to roll randomly because I know you're all in a little bit of trouble. So let's make this fair.
Can Marius? Can Azarax stand in front of Lise?
Yes.
He'll jump in front of Lise as the dragon head bites.
And I'm pretty sure that will land with a 22.
That does land. I can't even shield it.
Can't shield it. And the piercing damage is max. That is 18 points of piercing damage.
Oh, I imagine that this thing clamps down on Azarax's shoulder. He's got a small frame. I imagine it lifts him up in the air for a second before tossing him back down. His arm is hanging limp at his side. He spits up black, dry blood, barely hanging on to life.
And it takes a swipe with its claw as well, aiming to finish you. No, athletics check, please, actually. Azarax,
can I use acrobatics?
Yes.
Oh, that's a 4 on the die. Yeah, no way.
It seizes hold of you with those tiger claws. You know, tigers basically drag their prey to the ground before they finish them, like on the ground. It basically just drags you onto the ground, and it's pulling you onto the wooden gangway, which you see over your shoulder is beginning to crack. The last part of it. It is now your turn, Azarax, as this dragon maw is basically over your face.
He looks up at this creature. He's barely hanging on to life. I imagine that it's got him completely around the waist. I imagine that it's actually got his spell glove arm pinned down to his body. He reaches out with his sword for a second, but something strange happens. A second hand appears, jumps up, grabs the dragon over its eyes, covering its eyes. My familiar will grant me advantage on this attack as the rapier lights up with blue fire. That's an 18 on the die. I think that's going to hit.
It does.
Since I rolled with advantage, that's also going to be a sneak attack, I believe.
Correct.
Here we go. 6 plus 4 plus 1 is 11, plus 3 is 14 points of damage.
It lunges, its mouth open, wide, ready to consume your face, and your blade goes through the ridge, right in here, through the mouth, and it's just stuck there for a second, and then you hear it. Dexterity saving throw, please, Azarax. If you wish, you can help party people. Party people?
Dexterity saving throws?
Yeah, I'll be helping Azarax. Yes.
Plus 5 from me.
Azarax is not good at everything he does, but he is a wily bastard. I rolled a 15 on the save. I'm proficient in dex saves, so that's a plus 6 before any bonuses. So 21.
What is it like when you escape and the chimera crashes through the remaining scaffold and you jump out of the way in time?
This is not Azarax's first dance on the Cloud March. He hears the cracking. He's holding on to whatever he can. He pulls his spell glove arm out of the way. The scaffolding begins to completely crack, but he remembers falling off of this before as he whips around and grabs one of the vines that grow on the side of this thing. I imagine everything falls under as he fucking Indiana Jones style swings back on to the landing, dropping to both knees, coughing, ribs broken, beat to shit.
Point of inspiration, man. You watch as the fell creature falls into the mists You have succeeded in your task. How are you all feeling?
So how successful are we in the task, first off? What's the bridge look like?
100% successful. The scaffold has been completely obliterated at this point.
Marius is okay again after administering some battlefield healing to himself. He needed it or he was going to die, or else he would have saved it for somebody else. So he's like still out of breath, but he like looks at the rest of the party and sees that they're in significantly worse shape than he is.
Lise looks like she's at about 1/10 of her normal strength and health.
Azarax begins to laugh. That nervous victory laugh that you've heard before. But he can't get it out. He clutches his side and falls over on 6 hit points.
Lisa is next to you and she kneels down. She goes, hang on. I will help you.
I'm going to die. Lise, he holds up his hand and grabs her and pulls her close. You will be a good queen. Ugh.
Shut up. And she'll like run her hand over one of the bite marks, and it begins to close up. You'll get 8 healing.
Perfect. Yeah, you all stand in shock. It's now deathly quiet without those screaming, the horrendous screaming of the abomination that was set upon you. What do you do?
Should go back now.
Azarax gets up to his feet. We need to go.
We don't really have a choice in that matter. We have to wait.
You would have been instructed to go back into the teleport field, and you could be.
Oh, it's still there. Okay,
yeah, it's still there.
Okay, I thought it was like a case of like we had a time limit, and then we were just going to zoom back.
It's just there for like a period of time, and then it disappears.
Okay, in that case, I will run over and I will pick up Azarax, which I think I can do easily with my ridiculous strength, and I'll just begin running for the teleport portal.
Likewise, I would probably grab Lise, considering both of them. If she's hurt enough that she would need assistance, like I feel like we would both be grabbing the most wounded parties and running for our lives.
Yeah, you can see that the injuries are pretty severe, but you're all able to stumble towards the teleport field, swirling and strange. You can see the power begins to emanate around you as you hurl yourself inside, and you are sent up into the astral plane. But you don't see the bleary blue lights of the astral plane. You see whiteness, a plane of nothing. A voice echoes from your belongings, Lise. Something on your person is communicating to you.
What does it say?
It is the sending stone.
She fumbles and begins to pull it out.
It's almost like you're half standing, half floating, all of you, in this peculiar space. And you take the sending stone and you whisper the magical words required to activate it. And you see, as before, that one night when you spoke to him through it before, all in almost holographic before you. And he says, the task has been done. I congratulate you. But now you're going to answer my questions.
And what are you doing?
Lise, surely you must remember. Never trust a teleport field you're not entirely in control of.
I trusted you. I didn't need to be in control of it.
I'm afraid your companions saw it necessary to hide the truth from us. We are all in this fight together. But until you have imparted all of the secrets you have 5 minutes before you are spread across all of the 9 kingdoms. I shouldn't wonder. Tell me everything you know.
Fuck you. No. I'll die before I tell you. And he looks at the rest of them, and I will kill you before you tell him.
Equinox is going to have a fucking field day, you son of a bitch rat fink motherfucker.
We're all
You've
on the
just
same-
killed a kingdom.
If
We're
we're
all
all on the same side, then why are you stopping us?
Why would you resist? Why would you hold such a secret back if it wasn't going to help us? You can see a desperate, maddened look in his eye.
Not for you.
Not for me. And why is that, Witch Hunter?
Anyone who would, in this situation, with such importance to the mission that we have, anyone who would, in that position, keep us here for selfish needs of power does not get to learn what this power is.
There is no selfishness about it. I seek to liberate this land from tyranny.
Listen here, you little shit. Your Lisa's dying. Do you understand me? She put up a damn fight for you. You want to keep us in a goddamn cage? I promise you, when I get out of here, and I will rip your head off myself.
Insight check from all of you, please. You better make it quick.
19.
That's good. Anyone else?
12.
Maris, at the mention of Lise, you see a flicker in his eye. And from Tax's threat.
She's precious to you. I get that. I don't want to kill her, but if you don't let us out of this portal immediately, I will do so. And he'll take the big sword from his back.
How you review yourself, Witch Hunter?
I'm gonna float towards Lise.
Yeah,
Nice.
no, also do so.
Orlin.
I'm sorry, Lise. You've aligned yourself with them. You said that they would help.
And they are.
How are we to fight an enemy we know nothing about? Just because you
We
want to
put
keep...
ourselves in the line of fire. You stayed back there. I think we made our decision and our choice to help you. Why don't you help us?
You know of Equinox. You know of his power. What more do you want?
We need a weakness that we can manipulate.
And the
There
sword's gonna
is none.
boom with the smite power as I hold it very close to Elise's face.
Orlin, do not let me die like my mother did. Not by his hand.
He looks down and he goes...
The moment he looks down, Azarax reaches out. He touches Lisa on the shoulder. She disappears. There's a warble of light. An illusion of Lisa appears next to her.
Azarax,
Do it!
Make a Arcana roll, Knowledge Arcana with advantage.
Natural 20.
You're in a teleport field. You reckon if you can use enough power, maybe from the telling, maybe from your own individual power source, you will be able to perhaps teleport yourselves away.
Let us out or I will kill her. I won't hesitate. You know that.
He looks down. Why would you keep this from us? We need him destroyed. Why wouldn't you tell me?
I'm going to lift the sword as if to swing.
Azarax's hand begins to glow blue. He whispers to Taxus. Think of the hills outside of where we fought the witch hunters. Concentrate with me.
Yeah, and I think it's very like Guardians of the Galaxy-esque, where he like grabs your other hand, right? And it's like,
And Azrax reaches
what
out.
would
He
you roll?
rips a hole within reality. He pushes Taxes through and grabs the other two. I imagine he pushes Marius through. He grabs Lisa and dimension doors out of there.
I swing the sword.
And that is where we're going to take a short break.
Ah!
God, yes.
So, I think that is the first time I've had a DM use a real timer in a session, and boy, does that add to the pressure. Man,
Oh my
I like
god.
I like
That
the
was
timer, but
coolest thing.
I'm like watching it count. And Chad, I love you, but I was like, talk faster.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god. It's so good. It was
That motherfucker is so dead. Just the deadest. The deadest fucking dude.
I knew that dude was a fucking snake.
Yep.
Yep.
He's so fucking dead. I'm gonna kill him so much. I'm gonna kill him so
Can
he's
we-
so dead.
Can we
You
just
can't kill him. He just
Can we
wants the
just-
best for the rogue.
I'm gonna kill him.
we're gonna
so
straight
hard.
up we're gonna straight up rogue arcane stake and burn him. Are you kidding me? I will be the one to light the pyre. Just
Look, they want a witch hunter. They're gonna fucking see one. There's not gonna be a
That-
single one of those fuckers left when I'm done.
Oh, I will fight you.
Yeah, I'll definitely kill you.
No, but I'll try.
That motherfucker's the reason that there's witch hunters, motherfuckers like
man.
that.
That sort of shitty behavior.
we are so
God damn it.
classist.
Azrax is gonna be a witch hunter now. No, it's not.
Wait, how like if you become a witch hunter though and you're an arcane drow, like what does that make you now? Because it's like
They don't
not
exist, drow are witch
Rogue
hunters. But it's a nice sentiment.
drow witch hunters.
So Rob, at the end of that, I need to play fair because I'm a play fair kind of guy. I set our dimension door out of there, and after I turned the camera off, I looked at my character sheet, and I did not have a spell slot to do that. So one of those things.
Well, I did ask for just the knowledge arcana. You were just reversing the spell that was already in effect. That was the way I looked at it. So
All right, fair enough.
I don't mind so much. That's fine.
Okay.
But thank you for saying that. What I do need to ask though, Locris, you said something about the hill and the witch hunters. You were making Taxis think of something.
So, I mean, do with it what you will, because it was such a frantic situation. Azrax's was trying to think of the closest place to where our destination is, and the only thing that he could think of in those couple of seconds was where we were incarcerated, the Fortress of the
Mirror of the
Moon. What
Moon.
was it called?
Yeah, Mirror of the Moon.
Mirror of the Moon. I mean, that's the closest place he could think, so that's where he was going.
Okay, thank you. I just needed to ask. You all see dazzling lights. And then, Azarax, you open your eyes, and through the visor of Veritor, you see you are again in the material plane. You all look around and you see that you are all sprawled about on the edge of a large escarpment, a crag of rock that just falls away and drops into a steep valley. You see to the north of your position the Mirror of the Moon. You were just off, panicking as you were. And to the south, you see a looming silhouette of a strange city far in the distance. Storm clouds wheel above it, lightning arcing across the sky. You are all conscious. You are all able, at least, although you're still injured from the Chimera fight. What do you do?
Lee's still invisible, Azrax.
I would imagine that his concentration was broken through all of that. I mean, you know, I think probably his concentration was broken. So
That's fair.
unless you wanted to be invisible, if you want to do something cool when you're invisible, go ahead and do it. That's fine.
No, this is fine. I think Lise kind of catches her breath and like almost hands and knees is like scrambling away from where she was near to to Marius. Anger and fear and confusion and betrayal and all these emotions. And it's this instinct of fear and get away, get away, get away. She backs away from him.
Can't trust them. You can't fucking trust them. Never. Every time that I try,
Can't
this
trust
happens.
him?
Them, you.
No, him. You trust me, Marius. Come on. Look, you've come a long way. Just let it rest for a second.
Would you have killed me?
Yes. I don't make idle threats. The telling is not something for those who are power hungry, and that's what he wants. He wouldn't have it. It's bigger than you, it's bigger than me.
Marius, we would not have let you kill her. And even though you say you would have, I'm not calling you a liar because you're a man of integrity. But I think you're deceiving yourself with your words. You've changed since we've been friends. I have too. So has Texas. We have to be better.
Almost the entirety of my life making sure that those who have talents like yours and his don't lust for power on the scale that is unacceptable. That does not go away. My sense for that does not go away. I sensed it in him from the moment we met him, and when he betrayed us, there was nothing that I wouldn't do to make sure he doesn't get this power and corrupt it.
How many people have betrayed us?
He wants a weakness. He wants to know what the weakness of Equinox is.
And for that, he would betray us and send us to all parts of the world while we were doing this mission to save the world. Inexcusable.
Do not say I agree with his methods, only that his motives are true.
That doesn't matter.
It does.
Not to me.
It should. It's almost like his beliefs have blinded him into committing an atrocity. I've seen you step away from that life, Marius.
There is a rumble of thunder and lightning arcs across the sky in the distance. Almost like the past calling to you, Marius. Lost Cavalon, wreathed in storm.
Look. My heart is beating out of my chest right now. I'm sure it's the same for each of you. Look at what they're doing, Marius. Don't you understand? It doesn't matter where you draw your power from. It matters what you do with the power. I am not the same as that rat piece of shit motherfucker who just tried to kill us. Just like you are not the same as those miserable zealot sons of bitches who are doing some sort of fucking profane ritual right there. It's what you do with the power that matters. You know that. Remember it.
What he wanted to do with the power, he would have doomed us all to get it. That's the problem. That's the thing that is unacceptable, that's frightening. And that's the reason that the witch hunters existed in the first place, is because people who want power will do anything to get it, and they will cross people to get it. And that is something I cannot tolerate. I don't think you would do that. I don't think Lise would do that. But he did do that. And he is the head of the Rogue Arcane. And so the rest of the Rogue Arcane are guilty for his crimes. The same way that I'm guilty for all of the things the witch hunters did. By being a part of that organization, I have also committed all of the sins of that organization.
So, if a king commits a great sin, do you kill all of the citizens in their country?
Not the same thing.
But sort of the same thing. You cut off the head, and then you judge each of the people on their individual merits. Not every member of the Rhone Arcane is out there. They're scared, like everyone else in this world. They're scared. They have a power. They're persecuted for it. Of course they're going to band together.
We have a
Not
power
each
they
and
don't
every
understand.
member is a horrible person like fucking Orlin.
Go ahead, Taxes.
Marius, we have a power that they don't understand. For you to, of course, he's going to be scared of what he doesn't understand. And we denied him that information. Rightfully so. But
Aren't you
look,
also, Marius, afraid of what you don't understand? Don't you fear the arcane?
I'm incapable of fear.
Liar.
I can hate. I don't feel fear anymore.
Ignoring it is not the same as not feeling it.
I would give my life to save you if it came to it, and the rest of you, obviously. But you, Lise, I would protect you with my life. But I also would kill you. And I would kill Taxes, and I would kill Azarax and myself, if need be, to protect the things that I think are bigger than us.
The words ring out across the escarpment. Silence falls. You estimate that you have a good journey ahead of you if you are to reach Boscavalon to face the storm.
look, I'm gonna clean up some of these wounds. I'm gonna take care of Azarax and Elise. You can choose to do whatever the hell you want to, Marius. But by the time I get back, you need to make a decision. Because we can't have differences of opinion going into this.
Are we taking time to rest?
Entirely up to you all. You can rest here. You can rest for an hour. You can rest, do a long rest if you want, but it's entirely up to you. You know, there's urgency, though, in terms of what is going on with the witch hunters.
I would like to rest as long as tactically possible.
We cannot continue in this state. We're all near death.
In that case, campfire is set up. You probably all keep to yourselves. Taxes does his best to support the limping wounded amongst you. And you're able to rest. Oh, go ahead.
During the night, Marius would like wake up having, maybe it's like just before dawn or something. And he would like approach Lise and like sit down next to her, and he'd like pull a dagger from his boot and he would hand it to her.
She doesn't take it. What is that?
You think that I want you dead? That's not the case. I don't want to kill you. But you think that I do. I don't. If you saw me as the only way to save the world, if you saw my death as the only way to make sure that this great power that we have doesn't get into the hands of people who crave it so desperately, I would expect you to end my life. Nothing personal in it for me. We have disagreements, certainly. But it's not about that.
It is not death that I fear, not even death at your hands, Marius. My people, I seek to right the balance in the world, and the power must be in the hands of those who wield it well. I would choose to die to save that. But you cannot take that choice away from me. If you offer me a dagger and say, "This will save the world," then I will kill myself in a moment. But to be held captive by a witch hunter is a nightmare I would not choose.
I won't lie to you, it could happen again. But there's nothing personal in it, like I say. You can do with that what you like.
The night passes restlessly, but you're all able to gain your spells back. You're able to get yourselves fighting fit. Mechanically, obviously, you have your health back, but as you're just coming out of a fight, obviously, you're all feeling sore, you're feeling demoralized, you're feeling wounded, and you have a journey ahead of you. Your path takes you south once again, and as ever watchful, you see the spire, the very south of Farwide, the wandering sun, the black ball revolving about it. But your path takes you more south west. Lost Cavalon was built by the elder races, an ancient place. But dire curses fell upon it in times before the Nine Kingdoms were even united. As you approach, you notice that the terrain becomes swampy. Pools of water frosted over, sleet covering the landscape. It is muddy, it is cold, and a fell wind whips up around you as you approach this city. There are not barrels, barrows and ditches and horrendous swampy terrain to make your way through. What's going through your mind, and is there anything you want to do as you approach this place? That's down to anyone.
Marius is like wrestling with his principles. Like to him, it's just a no-brainer, like the actions that he took, and he would expect all of the rest of them to act that way as well. And that they are hurt or offended by it is seems to him like a lack of conviction, and so he's like trying to understand why they're acting upset, or they are upset, despite him like expecting them to do that for him in the same situation. Just doesn't understand it.
Elise feels as though her initial distrust of Marius, which had waned, was right all along. And she's uneasy every time she can't see him, every time he's behind her.
Rob, are we coming into the swamp like at nighttime, or is it like early morning?
No, by the time you're getting close to Lost Cavalon, you're kind of at midday, but you notice that the sky around it might as well be nighttime because the storm clouds above are black and arced with blue lightning. You see in the swamp fires burning in parts of the swamp now.
Texas has been pretty quiet in the early goings of this travel. Just sort of trying to be the large barrier between the tensions in the group. But as they approach Los Cavalon, it's he's treating it more like a predator, like scanning the skies and scanning the swamps as he sort of like looks for places that he could hide and prey upon whatever might be within this area.
I'd like everyone to make a perception check, please. Taxes, you're sniffing around and your sharp senses are very keen, but as you look around, you notice that Lise has already spotted something. Lise, you see what looks to be like an abandoned gatehouse. Through the mists and the smoke of the swamp, you see these fires burning everywhere around you now, strange and green. It looks like the city would have once spread out much further than is apparent at first glance. You see the ruins of different buildings barely above the surface of the swamp. But leaning against this gatehouse, there is an individual. He's sat on the floor with his back pressed against the gatehouse, and he doesn't appear to move. He's wearing witch hunter armor and the cloak that goes with it.
Lisa probably walking next to Azarax, and she puts her hand on her shoulder and goes, "Psst," and points.
As Lise directs your attention, all of you, to this, you're able to see that this man is wounded. You see blood pouring, or at least had poured from him. It's unable to tell whether he's alive or not, but Marius, you recognize him. You would not have seen this man for a long time. But regardless, you know him to be Horace, the Shadow Lighter, a veteran witch hunter.
I'll look to the rest of them and I'll quietly say, I know him.
Let's make sure there's no one else around before we approach. Azarax will pad off on silent feet. Oh, hopefully silent feet. He'll turn to Taxes and give him like a motion for Taxes to like go around one side, and Azarax is going to go around the other. Well, I imagine like he's trying to say like, let's pincer around either side of this area and just scan it to make sure that there's no one else laying in wait.
Totally. I agree with that.
Yeah, you're all able to sort of take position and slowly start making your way towards him, but it's clear that he isn't going anywhere. He is down, and you can see there's an awful lot of blood pooled around him in the against the stone that he's leaning on.
And Marius would hear that all whispered in Azarax's voice in his head, but Azarax will remain hidden.
I'll approach then.
As you approach, he twitches slightly, and then his eyes sort of flick open, cold and grey. And he looks up, and he sees you. Hexname? Is that you? Marius, you've known this man not well, but you know of him. He is a witch hunter of great repute. One of the best. Old school.
Shadowlight here.
I'm afraid you find me indisposed.
What did it to you?
The men. There's been a coup. It's neither, Marius. It's neither.
A coup. Wouldn't have happened back in Toth Day.
Yeah, well, we have you to thank for that, don't we?
Yeah.
The men that follow him. Mad to do so. We questioned his leadership. He hasn't got a fucking spine. He's led us to this place. An inquisitor. Self-appointed, of course, now. He learned what Toff knew. And he chose to use that knowledge to come here. You see he's not doing very well. No amount of magical healing is going to help.
Yeah, I'll squat down next to him. How many does he have with him?
Enough. 50 or so. Many wish to follow me and they betrayed.
All right. Listen, you can't go out like this. This is no way to go.
Wait. I know you're a deserter. But I always respected you. Through it all, I could see you were a good man. We all just got in too deep, really, didn't we?
And you can't see it before it's too late.
He learned something. He went to the temple within the heart of the city. You can see the pillar from here, and he sort of jerks his head. You can see this monolith reaching out from the center of the city, black obsidian, lightning arcing around it. I don't know what he intends to do, but he is mad. Put me to the sword, Hexenheim. Better an honorable man than a coward.
I'll take the sword that I have, and I'll give him like the last rites, but I'll do it as if I'm praying to the God King, because that's what he would want, as opposed to the gods that I pray to. So I'll like say the old prayers that I know, and then I'll cut his throat.
And you see him almost give like a nod. And Shadowlighter sees no more.
I'll close his eyes, and then I'll stand up and wipe the blood on my armor.
Azrax will walk over after hearing the conversation. He looks at Marius, looks down at him, at Shadowlighter. Kind of holds his hands out for a second before reaching down and He's gonna take his necklace off. Rob, does he have one of those necklaces that the witch hunters keep that stave off
Yeah.
that
The witch hunter medallion.
the witch hunter medallion? He'll take it off. Lloyd, do I still have the one that you gave Azarax, or did you ever take it back? If you ask for it back, you give it back.
I'm pretty sure he took it back.
I think I would have at some stage.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be cool if I hadn't, though.
It's up to you.
Let's say I didn't. Let's say I let you keep it, and I kind of like thought about it a few times, but you need it more than I do.
So he'll hold it up, and he'll hold this one up, and he'll say, we're going into witch hunter territory. I kind of think he'll motion to Lise.
Yeah.
And he'll turn to Lise and he'll toss it to her. And he'll
What's
say,
it do?
they have Marius can explain better. They have forces with them that can dull magic, making it difficult to cast spells. These protect them from it.
Put it
This
on,
is-
it will help.
This is a secret that you would not have known, Lise, and it begins to explain why a number of spellcasters fall to witch hunters.
Yeah, Lise kind of looks at this in her hand. To have known this. Well,
The medallions do not go back to the Rogue Arcane.
I don't take orders either.
Marius will smile and say, I'll take the medallion off you before we get back there. And then he'll start walking towards the temple.
You all find yourselves walking through this place. Windows and doors shattered open like gaping mouths. Hungry. Shadows fall across you as you enter Lost Cavalon. Time would have been, it was a city of light, one that was a bastion across the old world. Very much a Camelot of Far Wide in a way. But now it's fallen into shadow and darkness. The storm roils above you, another roll of thunder. Another blast of lightning licking from the monolith before you. As you approach the temple, you see a number of witch hunters. They are shrouded and stare at you as you approach, but they don't raise their weapons. One steps forward, one of lower rank that you might recognize, Lloyd. He says, Lorekeepers. Or he shouts it if you're not, obviously you wouldn't get that close, would you? Lorekeepers.
Whatever your false inquisitor has decided to do here, we're going to put a stop to it. And you're lucky it's us and not the God Kings people.
You see a ripple of hatred move through the ranks of the witch hunters. You see at least 20 of them in this courtyard surrounding this cathedral you now see, with this monolith reaching from above it. But they still don't move towards you. It's almost as if they are welcoming you almost. And you see that hatred isn't for you, but it is for themselves. Something is definitely not right. Nida, the witch hunter says. He's inside. Perhaps we could take him. Catch him unawares, but there are those loyal to him. We could all die.
You swore an oath when you joined like I did.
We did.
Duty before death. Death before duty, rather.
But neither. He has in his possession the first tome, Varys' first tome, the greatest of us all. He didn't found the witch hunters true, but he was the best of us. He wrote our laws. You know it, Marius. You know that when you become an inquisitor, you can read the first tome. The very one.
I know every word.
Not these words. You were great true, but you never reached that. You were never told. You weren't around long enough. He looks haunted, this man.
Whatever this is, this corruption, this awfulness, it's not what the witch hunters are about, and you know that, and I know that. So why don't we go in there and purify it?
And he looks to his assembled witch hunters. They all seem to be just in this really weird, on edge, almost drug addict-like state. They're kind of just shaking almost.
Do something. Don't let your last actions be those of mewling cowards who dishonored themselves and who gave up their duty.
It's a strange day indeed where we side with a deserter and a heretic. And he looks across your numbers. They say you're Lorekeepers now. Stories, propaganda.
Azrax looks back at him. There'd be a glint, I think, from the lightning on the obsidian spire over the lens of true seeing as he puts his gaze across them. Something's not right here, and he wants to discern what it is.
You can see that they are under some kind of effect that has rendered them terrified. A fear effect.
And Azrax will whisper to his companions, hopefully soft enough that it won't carry. They are ensorcelled. There is a magical fear that grips them. I don't know what it's from.
Which is interesting because witch hunters don't fall for that usually.
And it's arcane?
From what Azrax is able to determine, yes.
Lisa whispers, she goes, I might save 2 or 3 of them. But this many is beyond my skill.
I have to take a few steps forward. I'm going to go in there and deal with whatever Nider has become and purify this place. Whatever's in that book, if it's turned him into this and turned you into these not men, not witch hunters. I don't know what you are. But it cannot be allowed.
They look at you and it's almost like they're emboldened slightly with your words and they part, allowing you through. As you approach, you see that there's these ginormous cathedral doors before you. sealed shut.
I don't know what we're going to see in there. I never became an inquisitor. There was always something odd about those men, but I don't know what it's going to be. But it's likely going to be very dangerous. So it's probably best you stay behind me. And I'll push the door.
The double doors swing open. You see before you quite a sight. A long hall of this cathedral. The roof is blasted open, and you see the storm roiling above. You see the monolith jutting out from the cathedral as if it wasn't there when this thing was built. Lightning coursing across it. Before it, on a raised platform, stands Nida. About him are 10 witch hunters, and they stare as you enter. Nida looks a little different from when you last see him. His armor is significantly more improved. He bears the inquisitorial crest upon his cloak that is thrown over his shoulder, and he has a cowl raised over his head to disguise the missing ear. Marius, it has been a long time. Thank you for joining us here, brother.
You're no brother of mine.
No, I suppose not. No, you saw to that, didn't you? You saw to rob us of our common link. Our father. Not forgotten.
I believe it was you who tortured me first.
That is true. And there will be time for that again. But for now, as you're about to die, there would be no harm in telling you what we have done here. I would like you to know how completely you have failed before we put you in the ground.
Do tell.
I ascended in rank and have surpassed you. I see that I was a purer witch hunter than you ever could be. I didn't see this before, but now I see. My eyes are wide open, and with these eyes I looked upon the pages of the first tome, and do you know what I learned, Marius? I learned that this is just the beginning. As a witch hunters, we are only undergoing a test for what is really to come. It's a secret that we've had close to our hearts the whole time. A potential. Something that we are given from the beginning. There is another blast of lightning. A shroud of black fog is just emanating from the black monolith. This is the time. This is the place. I read upon the pages the first secret, the oldest secret that Varus tried so hard to fight against. But its root had taken hold long before he was a witch hunter. Every single witch hunter medallion is a phylactery, which means that our blessed Father has returned. He turns there is a as a ginormous figure clad in armor steps from the fog. Our father has returned. Toff in full skull helmet and plate stands before you. The Lich Knight has come. And that is where we will leave our session tonight.
Unfucking real. That
Oh
was
my God.
amazing.
So I was a little bit shit because you say maybe Marius hasn't had the phylactery the whole time, which was the thing that got picked up by the sensor stones.
One of us would have had it, certainly, you know?
Yeah, so it was there. So there we go. The first secret of the Witch Hunters. I really enjoyed that, guys. Thank you ever so much for those of you watching. We're going to sign off and we're going to give our thought of the game and plug anything you want. And we'll start with Chad.
Oh man, this game. Yeah, I absolutely loved that. Probably thought of the game. I've never felt so tense with every decision that I've had to make in a game until this session. Like, holy crap, Rob. That was so good. The timer, all of the situations, like every encounter piece that you like threw at us, I thought it was going to be simple and then it wasn't. And it's what makes this game so much fun for me. So, yes, my name is Chad Nick. You can find me on YouTube at Chad Nick. I do games on my channel and I do voiceover stuff, and it's pretty cool. You should probably check it out. Other than that, I just love this game. Thank you guys so much for having me and just being awesome.
Thanks, man, and well played. Very well played today. Taylor.
Yeah, you threw us some curveballs. I think that's the first session I've been in with a timer, and I really kind of like the added pressure. But no, definitely quite a few curveballs. Was not expecting Orlin. Was not expecting a Lich Knight. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm Taylor. You probably see me on this channel if you watch it very often. I've got my own channel, Mom's the Nerd, but I'm not quite a prolific DM. I'll get there one day.
Definitely on your way, Taylor. Wonderful stuff. Thank you very much. Lloyd.
Yeah, there's just so many people to hate. Gotta kill everybody. Gotta kill Toth again. Gotta kill Nida. Gotta kill Orlin. Make it very hard to be a reformed witch hunter. Like, everyone's an arsehole. I'm your LDM if you want to look at games that I do.
Good job, man, and well played. And finally, Lorekeepers.
That was a super fun session. I had a lot of fun. I like push it. If you put a button in front of me, I'm gonna push it. I'm glad that I got to push a button. I love the Chimera fight was really, really fun. I agree, it's fun. I love the way you do these iconic monsters because I feel like they're more badass than people usually make them in a fight. Like I fought a Chimera before, and it's like a fucking, it's a large creature. It's got a goat head and some shit like that. It's not a big deal. But this feels like we're fighting a fucking awesome monster of legend, which I love. The timer was great. And every fucking medallion is a phylactery. That's how you bring a fucking villain back, man. Holy shit. That's what's up right there, man. I loved it. Love the whole session, man. My name's Lorekeepers. I do stuff.
And my thought of the game, I didn't crash. I'm still here, bitches.
That's right. There was no crash.
So whatever I did worked. Anyway, before I jinx it, I'm going to go. So for those of you watching it after that, thank you ever so much. If you like this video, give it a like. If you'd like to see more like it, then give me a subscribe. But we'll probably carry on anyway, or not. Thanks for watching, and I hope that all of your performances are up to standard. Give us a wink.